I can do it.
Caught me with the intro. Stand up! New York Giants. And we got a new GM bit.
I like that little pump fake before they. Yes! All aboard the Shane train!
I'm just glad they finally got the GM. Obviously, he doesn't have a track record in terms of being a general manager before, but has a good background, has a good history, coming up throughout the league, good reputation. He's young, and the most important thing is it's an outside hire. Something that we've talked about for a while, that we don't want Mara to continue to control who the New York Giants bring in to make the decisions, and I don't think he did it here. So that's the most encouraging thing out of all of it, and we'll see his first big move is going to be the head coach. So I'm excited to see where we go with that.
Yeah, and there's been a lot of names. Obviously, they requested to interview Dan Quinn. That was one that was kind of strange to me, but it also made me think that they already had their GM in mind. They started to look at head coaching candidates. Obviously, Brian Dable is probably the favorite. I think that would be a thing, but now there's talks about Brian Fuentes, that the Giants are interested in bringing him in as well for a head coaching interview. So things are moving, but yeah, I agree with you, man. You get a guy that's young, you get a guy that was a big part of the Bills turning their franchise around and becoming Super Bowl contenders, because it really is what they are. I think that the winner of this Bills-Chiefs game is going to the Super Bowl.
I agree.
I really do. So this isn't going to be a pushover. What the Bills did to the Patriots was pretty phenomenal. I mean, Belichick don't get blown out like that. And they scored touchdowns in their first 7 possessions. The team's offense is really good. It's something that we have not been good at in years. And, yeah, it's nice to see Mara step outside the box, and hopefully he lets this GM do what he's supposed to do, and that is put his pieces in here and have the say on the players and the head coach, and his family steps the hell out of it, and we do this thing the right way this time.
Yeah, I think Baddog meant Flores. I see everybody saying,
Sorry.
He meant Flores. He mixed up the names. He meant Brian Flores. So I don't know if that's official yet, but Karner came out and said that the New York Giants have expressed interest in Flores. I expect Flores to get an interview. He's got ties to Dable in the past. I did a video on that. Interviewed a big Miami Dolphins YouTuber, and he gave his input on Flores, and it kind of matched up with a lot of the negative critiques that you hear about him. You'd expect that from a Dolphins fan, if you're being fair, because they're moving on from their head coach, just like we would bash Joe Judge. So take it for what you will. But, whoever they hire as the head coach, I'm going to give the guy a fair opportunity and hope that he does a good job, just like I did the first time around with Gettleman and Shermer. I'm going to hope that the guy comes in, does a good job, and I got to trust the GM to make the right decision. The guy's supposed to be a lot smarter than we are as fans, so hopefully he makes the right decision and we get the right guy in here to get this team going on the right track.
Yeah, I agree. They are supposed to know what the hell they're doing. And I think you and I gave Gettleman a lot longer leash than a lot of other people did. They wanted him out like after year 1, definitely after he drafted Daniel Jones, which is understandable. I think you and I were pretty much on board all the way up till this year, saying, at the end of year 3, I didn't really care what they did, but I wasn't going to stick up for him anymore. But after year 2, I think we were still like, you got to give him a chance. And, it didn't work out. And hopefully Shane knows what he's doing here. Pete the Skeet, thank you for the super chat. Appreciate this. I'm pretty excited with the way things seem to be going with this organization. Skeet.
What's going on, Pete the Skeet? Let's say hello to a couple people in here, by the way. We got Big Tess, we got Roldy, we got Epson, Spin City. I think I saw San Nizzle in the chat. Nelson. Mary's in the chat. What's going on, Mary? King Trizzy, Flex Lopez. Thank you to everybody for being here. And yeah, it's a big day for the New York Giants. It's the start of hopefully something new. So I'm excited about it. What's up, Nona?
Yes. Mike, thank you for super chat. Appreciate it. How do you all feel about Wink Martindale as a defensive coordinator candidate?
Oh, sign me the hell up, Mike. Yeah. I don't know the reasoning why the Ravens moved on from him. I remember when we brought Don Wink Martindale in as a head coach candidate, there were a lot of New York Giants fans that wanted him. He's been known as a terrific defensive coordinator with the Ravens for quite some time. Harbaugh came out and said that they did great things together, and sometimes I guess the organization just wanted to go in a different direction. Maybe he didn't get along with Harbaugh this year. Who knows? But Don Wink Martindale is a very credible defensive coordinator, and he's a guy that's done it with a lot of roster turnover with the Baltimore Ravens. They haven't kept, you think about all the players that team has lost, Darius Smith, several other players, Judon, and they're still able to maintain a very high defense. So that's a guy I would have extreme interest in. I think Don Wink Martindale is one of the better defensive coordinators in the NFL. So, yeah, Fangio's another one who's available. Let's sign me up for either one of those guys.
Yeah, oh, without a doubt. And honestly, even like I know they interviewed Dan Quinn as a head coach, but he's not a bad defensive coordinator either. Like we talked about, man, there's some guys that are really good coordinators. There's some guys that are just meant to be coordinators and not so much head coaches. But I mean, God, yeah, if you get a guy like that in here, I definitely think that would be huge. We don't know what's going on with Patrick Graham. I doubt he'll be back next year, but I would definitely take Wink Martindale without a doubt. There's no doubt. Pain Man with wheels, thank you. Appreciate it. Giants fans writing off Flores already are ridiculous. Yeah, he has flaws, but everyone has flaws. People act as if Brian Dable was a lock. True in Joe. I don't know if he's a lock. The only reason Pain Man, the only reason I say Dable is because he's also with the Bills organization. They've worked together, so they already have that chemistry rapport, probably on the same page. They got a good working relationship already. And usually that's kind of what you want with your GM and head coach, but I'm not writing Flores off at all. I have no idea what's wrong with, I have no idea I have no problem with Flores at all. He turned Miami around pretty quickly, so I'd be fine with that too.
Yeah, I'm not going to write him off. I just, like any candidate, I'm going to go over the red flags and the things that I like about him. Obviously, the good things about him are that he got the most out of a really bad situation with the Miami Dolphins, especially his first year there. Then when they got him a little bit of talent, he got 10 wins. He kept the team in it last year that started 1-8. They didn't quit, 1-7 rather. They didn't quit on him. They finished 9-8. The red flags are, like I discussed in today's video, reports have come out that doesn't seem to work well with others. He's been through 3 different offensive coordinators. He had 2 offensive coordinators on the same staff at the same time. He flipped over a lot of his staff. That doesn't mean he's a bad head coach. It means maybe things weren't working where he was working with the Miami Dolphins. And maybe if he came here with Shane, maybe things would work differently. I don't know. I'm going to leave that up to Joe Shane to make that decision.
Yeah. And my Giants saying, your brother, appreciate it. He says rumors. I got turned down when Shane was hired. I hear you. Slickback, thank you, my man. Appreciate it. I'd rather have a proven head coach and a smart young offensive coordinator personally.
Well, let's go over the proven head coaches. Let's take Harbaugh out of the discussion because I don't think they're hiring him. Let's go over the proven head coaches. I think there's 3 outside of Jim Harbaugh that are possibilities. Maybe I'm forgetting somebody. That would be Todd Bowles. That would be Dan Quinn. And that would be Doug Peterson. Outside of that, and maybe correct me if I'm wrong, maybe there's another guy out there that I'm not thinking about that is a guy that's been a head coach in the NFL before. I mean, well, you also got, what's his name? The guy that coached the Lions, Jim Caldwell, but he's approaching 70 years old. So outside of those 3 guys that I mentioned, who's another candidate? And maybe there is someone, I don't know. Yeah.
I mean, somebody mentioned Bienemy in the chat, but I don't know. Flores
too.
Yeah. I don't know, man. Like I said, it'll be interesting. It's always fun when it's bittersweet when you go through this off season because obviously you're changing over, you're excited about new beginning and everything else. But obviously when you're going through these changes in the off season, it's because you had another terrible year. And we had one of the worst years, maybe the worst year that I have seen since I was a Giants fan, and very disappointing for sure. I expected a lot more. Does it worry anybody that Joe Shane has the same first name as Joe Judge? Does that worry anybody at the I don't know. Yeah, it's somebody, I think it was Lawrence Tyne said the last 7 New York Giants head coaches had 3 letters in their first name. Is that something else? Ray, Dan, Jim, Tom, Ben, Pat, and Joe.
Well, probably not going to happen this time. If we got 2 Bryans right now that seem to be the favorites.
Dan Quinn is 3 letters.
Dan Quinn does have 3 letters. So we'll see. Hopefully, we'll see if that trend continues. That's a weird trend.
I saw that. I was like, that is interesting. Like I never thought about that, but he's right. The last 7 coaches had 3 letters in their first name. Nameless Grifter, thank you, man. I really appreciate the super chat. He says, bet on this earth 36 years, and it's the first offseason I've really been really intrigued about.
I mean, I've been really intrigued. I was really intrigued, obviously, the offseason that they brought in Joe Judge. It was a new head coach. I've been intrigued of several offseasons, but this is definitely an offseason with a lot of change and something completely different. This is the first time since I've been watching the Giants that I think that they brought in a complete outsider in terms of a general manager without any ties to the organization. So that's something new. Yeah, and we're gonna have a new head coach, a new GM. So there's gonna be a lot of turnover, and there's gonna be a lot of questions. Like people are asking me, Baddog, like, what are they gonna do? I have no idea. I don't know who the quarterback's gonna be. I don't know what this team is gonna look like next year. Like, we have a completely new regime. Who knows? Who knows what's gonna happen? So I have just as many questions as everybody else.
Yeah, there's no doubt. There's a lot of these questions are going to be answered between now and May, without a doubt. You know, the draft is going to tell us a lot of free agency. Well, we don't have a lot of moves to make in free agency, but the people that we cut and everything else, I heard that they said they were going to try to make cap space and all this other stuff, but we'll see. Pim, thank you for the super chat. Appreciate it. He says, I trust what the GM does. Had to log off Twitter because people are actually debating and getting angry over hypotheticals. Let's just enjoy the moments. That's why when I'm on Twitter, I really just post stuff. And I read like the comments of people comment to me, but I really don't go through Twitter and like Twitter's toxic as hell. I think YouTube's toxic. Twitter is like 10 times as toxic. So I just
Twitter is very toxic. There's no
doubt.
I
try to stay out of it.
It's a fun place, but it's definitely like if you Twitter basically shows you the extreme reactionary side of New York sports fans. Like to the like you said on YouTube, Twitter's another level.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it. And people that are flipping out over hypothetical. Like I went on Twitter after they brought in Dan Quinn for an interview, and I saw like everybody reacting like the world was going to end. And I was like, it's an interview, guys.
Yeah.
Dan Quinn has been on an interview with 3 other NFL organizations. People are acting like the guy has no qualifications at all just to be granted an interview. Let the process play out. If they hire Dan Quinn, then maybe have an argument to say that he shouldn't be the head coach. But just because they're bringing somebody in for an interview doesn't mean the sky is falling. Yeah, exactly. JD, thank you, brother. Appreciate it. Outside the box, Brian Daboll is head coach. Eric Bienemy is offensive coordinator. The selling point to Bienemy, easier path to head coach calling the plays than staying in Kansas City. Maybe, but I don't know how long Andy Reid is going to be coaching. I mean, Andy Reid's got to be getting older. I don't know how much longer he wants to do that. And I would hope that Brian Daboll ain't just here for a couple of years and then Bienemy takes over the spot. I hope that whoever our head coach is here for a long time. What I'll say to JD's point, and what's going on, JD, man? Thanks for popping in. I agree with Baddog to the point that, like you said, Bienemy may be the guy waiting in the wings to take over for Andy Reid potentially if Andy Reid, retires within a couple of years. But the big knock on Bienemy outside of his past, DUIs, which people point to when he goes into these interviews, is the fact that the guy doesn't get to call his own plays. So Bienemy maybe would look at the New York Giants as an upgrade if he was able to come in here and actually be the play caller. Maybe that would make him more attractive in terms of being a future head coach. So maybe, who knows? Maybe. Yeah, there's a lot of questions. The thing is, Baddog, I didn't mean to cut you off. I was just thinking as I said it. If they hire Daboll, I have to think Daboll is going to be the play caller. Yeah. Much like Shermer was when he got the job. We may have an OC, but I would think Daboll would be the play caller. Yeah. At least probably most of the game plan will go through him. Pain with Wheels, thank you. Appreciate it. 2 down, 1 to go. Send DJ to the CFL for Let me ask you about this, Chris. I was talking with this with Authentic. I know that there's a lot of questions, but gut feeling, quarterback not sold. They're not sold in the quarterback. Buffalo sent scouts to 4 Liberty games, so they've obviously been scouting Malik Willis. Well, maybe they went to the game. They may be scouting somebody else, but. Oh, I didn't know they went to 4 Liberty games. I think they went to 4 different games. Oh, they were there. They were there. Okay. Well, at least I thought I read that. It was 4. Okay. Maybe they did. Yeah. Okay. But who knows me? I get 4 hours of sleep at night, so sometimes my brain doesn't work all the time. But if that's the case, do you think that's possible? Because listen, they brought in Josh Allen. He was inaccurate in college. He was inaccurate his first couple of years, kind of like Malik Willis is, but they were able to develop the guy and make him into a superstar. Mm-hmm. Is this possible? Again, I don't want to draft a quarterback. I want linemen. Yeah. But is it possible that they do draft a guy like Malik Willis and then leave Daniel Jones there as your stopgap and have him sit behind Daniel Jones until they can build the offensive line around Malik Willis and then bring him in?
Is that something you could see? Because Daniel Jones ain't costing us that much. I would not want to put him in there as a starter.
So but are you saying we draft said quarterback with one of our first 2 picks, or you're talking second round?
I don't think Malik Willis should go to the second round. Now, Desmond Ridder, that's a different story. He may.
If you're taking Malik Willis with, let's just play this hypothetical. If you're taking a quarterback, Kenny Pickett, Malik Willis, whoever, with the 5th or 7th pick, I don't see a scenario where Daniel Jones stays on as the starting quarterback next year.
You trade him?
Because it's not a situation like the San Francisco 49ers or the Kansas City Chiefs where they already had a really good team and they said, all right, we could let this guy sit even though we took him early. He could sit behind Jimmy Garoppolo. He could sit behind Alex Smith for a year and he could learn and grow while we have a winning team. If you take a quarterback top 5 or top 7 and your team stinks, I don't see a scenario where the New York Giants would be like, yeah, we're going to let Daniel Jones play 17 games and we're going to let Malik Willis sit and learn for a year before he comes in as the starting quarterback to replace him. I do not want his quarterback, especially
I don't either.
2 picks. But if you're asking me, do I think it's possible? Yeah, it's possible. Anything's possible when you bring in a GM. I try to think like from the mind of a GM, though. If it was me, if I was coming in complete from the outside, unless I feel like I always say one of these guys is elite, why am I going to start to put my job on the line year 1? Because the second you draft a quarterback 5th or 7th overall, your time clock as a GM is ticking. Because if you are wrong, you're going to be fired in 3 years. If you take you're going to be fired in 3 years if you're wrong. So you have to ask yourself, if you're the GM, is this the year to do it? Especially with as bad of a team, bad of a supporting cast the New York Giants have right now. So we'll see. I mean, if they decide that one of these guys is worth that pick, they better be right.
Yeah, I don't want a quarterback. I'm just thinking to myself, they took Josh Allen. He wasn't the most accurate guy. They have no allegiance to Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones on the last year of his contract.
Yeah.
They're not picking up a 5th-year option. He's not going to be here past 2022. So I don't know. I was talking to this about my brother-in-law the other day, my brother-in-law's, and I don't know if this would happen, but what if the Giants are able to trade? Would you do this hypothetically? Would you trade the 2nd-round pick for Jordan Love?
It depends on how high the GM feels about Jordan Love. I would probably trade. I mean, it depends. It depends on how they evaluate him. If they think Jordan Love could potentially be a starting quarterback, I would sooner do something like that than draft one in the 1st round. And I do think Jordan Love's going to get traded, but it depends on how they evaluate him. If they thought he was a better quarterback than anyone in this draft class, I wouldn't be against doing something like that.
Okay, another one. They go Flores. Okay, Flores is the head coach. There's the rumors that Deshaun Watson wants to play for Brian Flores. You giving up? You think that I'm not saying I would not want to give up our top 2 picks, but say you package one of those top 10 picks, a 1st-round pick next year and a 2nd-round pick for Deshaun Watson. If everything clears off and he's good, he's not going to be suspended by the NFL. He gets to play all 17 games. Are we doing that?
Again, provided, like you said, there are no issues with the legality of everything that's going on and there's a clean slate. Yes. Okay. Deshaun Watson's a top 5 quarterback.
Yeah, I agree.
He's 26 years old. That's something that you say, okay, let's get the guy in here now. We know it's going to take a few more years to provide him with a team that can compete, but then the quarterback is settled. If you get a guy like that, quarterbacks don't grow on trees. Like you could say, oh, just wait to get a high draft pick. Even if you get a high draft pick, there's no guarantees that quarterback is going to be near the level of a guy like Deshaun Watson, right? So if you have the opportunity to get a guy like that, if the character issues do not bother you as an organization, and which I have my doubts that the New York Giants would be willing to take on a player like that based off their.
But if John Mara's honest and says, "Go ahead, you have the reins,"
yeah,
you take.
Listen, I understand both sides of it. Like I see Mary say, "I don't want Watson as the face of the franchise." I understand that. I understand fans that feel that way with the history that Deshaun Watson has and the things that he's being accused of doing. But from just a football standpoint, yes, that if his character issues were not a concern at all, he is certainly worth that price.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens. I don't think they're getting him, but I'm just hypothetical. Blake, thank you, man. Appreciate it. Why are people so dead set on Flores when he sounds like Joe Judge 2.0? It's not like he's been electric in Miami. He notoriously has a bad offense, a bad O-line, plus all the personality stuff. Pass. To be fair, I don't know if he didn't want Tua. I can tell you that. He did not want Tua. It's one of the reasons he's gone. And again, I don't know how much of the offensive line and the bad offense has to do with Flores as it does with the bad drafting. I don't know. But I don't think Miami was that good of a team. And he's still able to give them, win 10 games last year where they finished 9-8 this year after starting 1-7. I don't know. He obviously has issues, but he seemed like he got the most out of Miami. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, again, I'm not a Miami fan. I don't watch every Miami game. It's why I dug on my channel today. I think there's definitely red flags with him. But the one thing that always stood out to me with him, just from the outside looking in, is he always, like you said, he seemed to overachieve in terms of the win-loss department, especially his first 2 years there with Miami. But the one negative with him, and I think we agreed with this when it happened, I think I remember talking about it with you. I didn't agree with his handling of Tua his rookie year. And I know it's come out that he wasn't in love with Tua, but to bring Tua in the starting lineup and then bench him, that didn't make a whole lot of sense to me. So that's one thing, is handling of the young quarterback, regardless of whether he wanted Tua or not, was not a good look in terms of being a head coach. I'll say that. But in terms of the win-loss and getting the most out of the teams that he was provided with, yeah, I mean, just on paper, he did a pretty good job.
Yeah. NYG Jeffy, thank you, brother. Appreciate it. Must be the Twilight Zone. Giants doing things right. We'll see. We don't know yet.
I don't want to say that, Baddog. Like, we're doing things differently.
Yes.
I think that's the way to say it. We don't know if it's right. Like, let Joe Schoen come in here, be the GM for the next 3 years, which is what I'm giving him. Build up this team and let's see if they did things right. But we're doing things differently, which is progress. We're not doing things the same way.
Yeah. Peyton with wheels. Thank you, brother. He says, in Abby we trust. Jeff was trouble. Jeffrey Abbey hated number 8. You know that.
He still hates number 8. He still hates number 8.
Octave Chemical Drive. Thank you, brother. Appreciate it. He says, let's go for Dable for coach, and hopefully we build a foundation of good draft picks. The best teams are built and sustained through the draft. Facts. That's where you build your championships. Free agents are brought in there to fill a piece here and fill a piece there, but the core of your team is built through the draft. Your money's really made in the 3rd through 6th rounds. You should not be missing your first 2 rounds, which we missed all the time. But really, when your money's made is those middle to late round picks where you get guys that actually produce, like the kid from San Francisco was Elijah Mitchell, a 6th round pick. I think he was 2nd in rushing yards for rookies this year or something.
They had a good line. That helps.
Yeah, it helps. But I'm saying they got good value there.
Oh, great value.
That helps too.
Yeah, great value, of course. Yeah, I mean, I think they're going to go with Dable. Well, let me see the list first before I say who I think they're going to go with. But I think right now Dable's the leader in the clubhouse. That's what I think.
I agree. Anthony, thank you, my man. Appreciate you, brother. He says, what up, Baddog? Love the signing of Joe Schoen. I think this is the first step in trying to get back to glory and relevancy. The future is bright. Anthony, I hope so. The future, well, the draft is – I said this, talked about this with Authentic, and I'm sure you've said this yourself, Chris, and we've probably been talking about this for a couple of years, but I don't think this is the most important draft we have had in a long that I can remember. 2 top 10 picks, new GM, new head coach, new coaching staff, trying to start all over and rebuild everything the correct way. We got 2 top 10 picks. We need to hit on both of these.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it sounds redundant because we say that almost every offseason, but it's the way we feel.
But this one, we got 2 top 10 picks.
It's kind of similar to the 2019 draft. I think it's like almost identical to the 2019 draft. Like 2019, we had the 6th pick, the 17th pick, and ended up having like the 30th pick. And it was a draft in which we took a quarterback. So that draft
we missed on every one of them.
And we did. But this draft is comparable to that one. And that was a huge draft. That draft didn't work out. We cannot miss again. We have to hit on these draft picks, and we have to start setting the foundation for the future of this team. So it's a huge offseason. It's a gigantic offseason.
Completely agree. Ed's, thank you, my man. Appreciate it. No freaking way we draft Willis or any quarterback this year. I don't want to.
I don't know if all I'm saying, Mark, I agree. I don't want to take a quarterback. But as a content creator, I have to prepare for it as a possibility. It's a possibility. I think it's a mistake, but it's a possibility. I think it could happen. And all it takes is one quarterback to blow them away, and they could take one. So we have to realize as fans that they have no attachments to any player on this team. So if quarterback's the most important position. If they think one's a great prospect, they could take one. They definitely could. I don't want it.
I don't want it either. I want a line, and then I want the quarterback. But I want a line first.
Yeah.
Big Daddy, thank you, my man. Appreciate it. Great hire. Stay with Jones and build the old line. I'm fine with that in 2022. Fine with that.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see.
I'm not expecting to win a Super Bowl in 2022. What I want to do is what I wanted to do Joe Judge's first year, and they did it. I wanted to improve. Chris and I both picked them to go 6-10 in 2020, and they did. But they improved, and that's what we want to see. So this year, no, I'm not expecting them to make the playoffs the first year, this rebuild again. But if we go from 4-13 to 8-9 or 7-10, and we're competitive, and you see improvement, you can live with it. You know, you can definitely live with that. So I'm fine with that. And if Daniel Jones is good behind a better offensive line and figures out how to process the play faster, and then all of a sudden he finds it in year 4, and he shows that he can be a top 10 quarterback, maybe they look to extend him. But if not, then you go out and you get your quarterback. You have a lot more cap space in 2023, and maybe you go free agent quarterback there. Maybe you trade for one. Maybe you draft one. Lot of questions. I don't know what they're going to do, but they have no allegiance to Daniel Jones, so it will be interesting to see what they do with him for sure.
Yeah, that's by far the biggest question of the offseason is what are they going to do with the quarterback? You know, are they going to stick with Jones? Are they going to – and I know a report came out. I forget who posted it on Twitter. I thought I saw it yesterday that all the candidates that came in said that they liked Jones. But to me, that doesn't mean anything. Like, they may want to stick with Jones, but that to me doesn't make me believe anything. Like, if you're a good GM, you don't want anybody going into the draft thinking that you're leaning one way or another at the quarterback position. You don't want to lose any leverage or anything like that. So that means very little to me right now in terms of whether or not Daniel Jones is going to be the quarterback going into next year. I'm leaning that he will be, but it's far from a foregone conclusion.
Slick back. Thank you, brother. Appreciate it. Trade DJ from home straight up. Who says no?
That'd be a decent move.
The Chiefs.
The Chiefs would say no. The Chiefs would say no.
They'd be the only ones but that and every team in the NFC East would say that for sure. But I would be willing to do that. I'd even throw in a first round pick.
You sure?
TJ number 5 for Mahomes.
You sure?
Yeah, okay, number 7. Michael Mann, thank you, brother. Appreciate it. I'm a Carolina fan. Pros and cons of McAdoo. He's not your head coach. He's your offensive coordinator. I think he's a damn good offensive coordinator. I think he's a very smart football guy. And if anybody can fix Sam Darnold, it's him. Eli Manning had the best statistical seasons of his career under Ben McAdoo as the offensive coordinator. He was a terrible head coach. He was a terrible leader of men. But I do think he's a good offensive coordinator. And
yeah, I agree with you. I was actually live today when that got announced, and a lot of people were like, I don't know if they said I was crazy, but they're like, oh, they were laughing about the fact that the Panthers hired Ben McAdoo as the offensive coordinator. But I agree with you. I thought Ben McAdoo, I hated him as a head coach. Yep. Like you said, I hated him as a leader of men, but McAdoo was a pretty damn good OC for the Giants. And with an offense that had a bad offensive line. I mean, we talk about this offensive line now, it's poor. It may have been better than this one, but it was not good. It was not a good offensive line. We couldn't sustain any kind of drives on the ground. Odell Beckham obviously helped, but Ben McAdoo definitely improved Eli Manning's statistic with the year before. I think he had like 17 touchdowns and 27 picks or something like a really bad year. And then he came in here with his new offense and definitely cleaned up Eli Manning with it was like the 2-second offense. I think that's what they called it when he came in. Expect a lot of quick passes. Expect them to get the ball out of Sam Darnold's hand quick. But, yeah, I don't think it's a bad hire by Carolina. I think he's a fine offensive coordinator.
Yeah, I think he's a good OC. Anyway, Giants, thank you, brother. Appreciate it. Breaking news. Thinking about Shane is my Viagra. I think you're too young to need that. I think. But it's always good to have inspiration, I guess. I don't know. The tad that shouldn't be. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate it. The New York Metro media is known to eat people alive. Presuming Watson is completely innocent, the local media will still try to grind him to dust. It's true.
That's a good point. I didn't even think about that, but yeah.
I don't know how Watson would handle the media.
I have no idea, but that will definitely be a story if that ever came to fruition. I'm trying not even to I'm not gonna make any videos on Watson. Until
Oh, I'm not either.
until it seems like it's like something that's like a realistic possibility. Because right now, I don't think it is. If I feel like it is, I'll talk about it in terms of video content on my channel. I don't think it'll be a giant. I'd be surprised, but I guess it's fun to talk about for some people. But I think it's pie in the sky stuff. I don't think it's gonna happen.
Yeah, I don't know. I just mentioned it because there's a rumor that he wants to team up with Flores, and Flores could be the head coach. And if that happened, I mean, I think it's a long shot. But just saying you're not going to do it until it's pie in the sky stuff, so you don't really want to do it. So you're not an Eagles video maker, is what you're saying.
Well, I'll say this: if they hired Flores, it's at least a possibility.
Right. Yeah, if they hire anybody but Flores, I don't think it's possible.
Yeah, I don't think it'll happen.
Blake, thank you, my man. Appreciate you. He says, I think Shane's familiarity with Dable and Frazier are going to be the key reason one of them is selected. Would you prefer Frazier or the retread or Dable? I'd rather go with Dable.
Yeah, go ahead, Baddog. I didn't mean to cut
No, I was just going to say, I would go with Dable myself over those.
Yeah, I mean, Frazier's got head coaching experience, but it's nothing against Frazier. It's not like Dable's proven. Like, he's a gamble. Like most of these head coaches any one of these head coaches that you're bringing in is a gamble, whether it's a retread, former head coach, or there is no sure.
Yeah, there's a reason they're not a head coach right now because they're a gamble.
Yeah. But the reason I'd go with Dable, I've consistently said that I want more of an offensive-minded head coach for the New York Giants. If I could choose one way or the other, I would pick Dable.
Yeah. Alvin B, thank you, brother. Appreciate it. You see Daniel Jeremiah's first mock had us taking Aquanwu and Devin Bush. I'd rather have Linderbaum or an edge before Bush. So would I. The one at the CBS mock draft had him taking Aquanwu and Linderbaum. I was like, yeah, I'll do that.
Yeah, I'll start after the head coach and GM search are done. I'll start reacting to some of these mock drafts from the higher guys like Daniel Jeremiah, so on and so forth. And I've seen some, like you said, where they've doubled up on the O-line. I've seen some where it's one offensive lineman.
That guy from Purdue, I can't think of his name.
Yeah, Karlaftis.
Yes.
I've seen him, the edge rusher.
And then there's an outside linebacker from Michigan that they talk about too.
Oh, Ajabo.
Yep.
Yeah, David Ajabo. That's another guy a lot of Giants fans like. We'll see. I am going to consider. Right now, the way I feel, and I may feel differently. Like, I got to see who the head coach is. I got to see who the GM is. I got to see what he says his vision is and how they build this team via free agency. Who do they cut? Like, that could change a lot of things in terms of the draft of what the team needs are going to be going in. But right now, if I, as I've said several times, I'm leaning. If I was doing a mock draft today, I'd have them take an alignment and the best available defensive player.
Which you said was Hamilton. I think they'll.
Yeah, probably if he was there. That's where I'd be leaning right now.
By the way, we got 825 people in here. Thank you so much for watching. Really do appreciate it. Do me a favor. Hit the thumbs up button. Helps out the stream. Huge. So hit that thumbs up. More importantly, if you haven't done already, I don't know where you've been, but if you haven't subscribed to the Entertaining Talking Sports over here, make sure you subscribe to them. Link is the first thing in the description below. I'm sure my mods have been dropping the link as well, but we'll be doing this. We do this show every week. We just alternate channels. So we'll probably be doing this for a few weeks till things calm down. Then we'll take a little time off before the draft. But and I'm sure we did it last year, and it was a lot of fun. I'm sure we'll do a mock draft together.
Oh, yeah.
That was a lot of fun. So we'll do one of those too. LA Lou, thank you, brother. Appreciate it. He says, if Shane brings in Dable as head coach, I bet they see if they can develop Jones the way they did Allen. There are some similarities between Jones and Allen. Well, they can run, but Jones don't have the arm Allen does or the athleticism. And Jones really isn't a scrambler. Jones, when he gets his yards, they're set runs. He's really not good at climbing the pocket, feeling the pressure, and getting out of the pocket to scramble for yards. Most of his big plays are on designed runs, but you never know. I mean, they did develop Josh Allen, and he struggled his first couple of years. It's possible, but they're not going to have as much time to work with Daniel Jones as they would Josh Allen. That's the only drawback to that, I think.
Yeah, and the other thing you gotta realize is how smooth of a transition is it going to be for Jones? Now he's going to be learning another scheme. Yep. I don't know. We'll see. But if anybody could do it, I guess Dable could. I'm not going to put him on the same level as Josh Allen. Josh Allen, to me, yes, he's definitely a guy that struggled his first 2 years, but just his raw physical ability, it was always higher than Daniel.
Yes, agreed.
So, but obviously I hope if they bring in a guy like that, he gets the most out of Jones. And listen, I don't want to have to draft a quarterback ever. I want Daniel Jones to be the guy. We drafted him. And hopefully Dable coming in here could do that for him. I'm not going to bank on it, though.
I agree. Tyler, thank you, brother. Appreciate it. Ikem and Linderbaum, first round. Jermaine Johnson the second, then Isaiah Likely in the third. Listen, I'd be great with that first round. I haven't gotten it in the second round yet, but I'm all about that. The first round. I'll do a cartwheel. I can't do a cartwheel, but I'll be happy. Put it that way if they do that in the first round.
Yeah, I've seen Ikem dropping in some of these mocks. I saw one today. He was going like back into who knows? I mean, Andrew Thomas was going like 2021. I remember leading up into the drafts in a lot of these mocks. So we'll see. But I saw him dropping to like the mid 20s. But yeah, I listen. You get 2 offensive linemen. I think Baddog and myself will be very happy on draft.
Very happy. Brandon Arrigo, thank you, my man. Appreciate it. He says, "What if they draft O-line with 5 and 7, then trade back into the first for a quarterback?" I still don't want a quarterback, but if they were going to take one, that would be the best case scenario.
That's better. Yeah, because there's no, you're not. I don't think, like, if you trade up to like 30, I don't think it prohibits you from taking a quarterback in the next draft if you really love one.
Right.
So it's better than taking one top 7. I'll say that.
Definitely. Yeah, I don't want a quarterback at one of our first 2 picks. No way. It's a reach.
Yeah.
In my opinion, there's no quarterback worth a top 10 pick in this draft class. Because, like I said, they have to be elite here. And is there really an elite talent that makes you scream, "I got to take this guy 7th overall"? I don't see it. Garrett, thank you, my man. Appreciate it, because you don't want to take a guy that when they get drafted that high, this should not need to be developed. That should not be a project. Like Malik Willis, he's got some skills, but he's not polished. Like, to me, you need to be polished when you're drafted 5th or 7th overall. You should be ready to go. NFL ready to get in there and start, like Herbert, like Joe Burrow. I know he was 1st overall, but those type of guys need to get in there and be good immediately.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
And I don't think they would be if they came here.
Because there's nothing around them.
Yeah.
Difficult. Garrett, thank you, my man. Appreciate it. Who would you like to see as a solid backup quarterback?
I think Trubisky. I think Trubisky, and I think he makes the most sense, especially if you bring in Brian Dable to be the head coach. He was a guy that they brought in there to be the backup for Josh Allen. You would think the reason they did that is because they felt like he fit the scheme well. I also think Trubisky kind of has a similar skill set to that of Daniel Jones. So if you in terms of his mobility and so on and so forth. So I think Trubisky's a really good match, especially if they bring in Dable in terms of bringing in a credible backup. I think he's a good fit.
Yeah, great call. Yeah, I would Trubisky be great. Way better than anybody else you've had as a backup quarterback. Since Eli Manning was our backup in 2003. 2004, rather. That's probably the last time we had a good backup quarterback. I mean, maybe David Carr. He wasn't a bad backup.
No, he was number 1 overall pick. He was solid. He never got to play, but he was a solid backup.
Yeah. Lou Mateo, thank you, my man. Appreciate it. Yeah, I guess any backup behind Eli was good because he never played.
Yeah.
He says, in my opinion, if we bring in Flores, Watson, or Willis, will be here. First black head coach, first black starting quarterback. That's history in the making. For the Giants, yes.
Oh,
well, not the first black starting quarterback. Geno Smith did start for us.
For a game, yeah.
So it wouldn't be the first, but
I just want them to bring in the best coach. I don't care. People always bring up the black and if the best head coach is black, hire him. If the best quarterback is black, draft him. Yeah, I don't care. Just win. Bring in the best coach you possibly can. I don't care.
Yeah, I don't care either. But I'd rather have I want Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, I don't care.
I love Deshaun Watson. Red Rich, thank you, my man. I really appreciate it. He says, if Daboll is hired, do you think they bring in Trubisky on board to challenge EJ for the starting job?
Oh, there you go. Speaking of devil, I don't know if Trubisky. Well, he may. If they brought in Trubisky, I would think it would be Daniel Jones would more than likely be the starter going in. But if Daniel Jones struggled for, say, 5 or 6 weeks, Trubisky's definitely a guy that could step in. And obviously, due to Daniel Jones' injury history, he sees an opportunity that way as well. So I think Trubisky makes a lot of sense.
I agree. Pain with Wheels, thank you, brother. He says, I would extend DJ to a 5-year Amazon driver job. Pain with Wheels loves is that that's a Jeffrey Abbey sock account?
It might be.
I love it. The thumbnail's hilarious. Andy, thank you, my man. Appreciate it. Even the Gents very happy with today's hiring. I do feel sorry for the poor bastard with the state of this team. Good luck to him. Well, he's got his work cut out for him.
Let me read this. Evening, gents. Very happy with today's hiring. I do feel sorry for the poor bastard with the state of this team. Yeah, it's Baddog. It's like when Gettleman took the job. It's why I think you and me were more patient than we should have been. I mean, in retrospect, and people be saying the same thing about us if Joe Schoen fails and we give him the same time length, 3 years to try to build the team, and it doesn't work out. But I think we realized Gettleman inherited a bad situation, and Gettleman left arguably an even worse situation. Yeah. So I think you have to give Joe Schoen an opportunity to clean up this mess. It's going to take a little bit of time.
Yeah, I agree. Slickback, thank you, brother. Appreciate it. And in response to the Amazon driver job, he says they don't want drop packages. Come on. Darian, thank you, brother. Appreciate it. He says they don't get the hype of Flores. Got W's versus bad teams. I don't know if there's hype around him, but I understand them interviewing. He did take a bad Miami team, and Miami was bad. They were losing to bad teams. So he was able to beat, didn't they beat the Patriots, though? The Patriots aren't.
They beat the Patriots a number of times, I think, with him. I'm gonna pull up this year, yeah, they didn't beat the best of teams, but I'm gonna pull up their schedule and see who they beat. I don't
know if there's a lot of hype around him, but I understand interviewing. He did a good job down there.
I'll go over his 2020 schedule. 2020, they started 0-2. They lost at New England. They lost to Buffalo. Two good teams. Well, New England wasn't good that year. They won at Jacksonville. They won at the 49ers, who had injuries at the time. The Jets, they beat the Rams. They beat the Cardinals on the road. They beat the Chargers. They beat the Bengals, who weren't good that year. They beat New England. They beat the Raiders. I mean, they didn't beat incredible teams, but they beat respectable teams. And this year, they won 8 out of their last 9. They beat Baltimore. Maybe Lamar Jackson was out for that game. I don't know. It was kind of mid-season. They won at New Orleans. At that point, they had their backup quarterback. They beat New England, though. Like you said, in a big game down the stretch. He had some respectable wins to his name. And he inherited a team that when he took over, everybody was saying tank for Tua. They thought that the Dolphins were going to intentionally lose football games to try to win 1 or 2 games to get the number 1 overall pick. And they started 0-7, and then they've ended up winning 5 games down the stretch, including a win the last game of the season against New England on the road. So, and maybe New England didn't play their starters that game. I'm not sure. But, I think he has a somewhat impressive resume in terms of what he was able to do with what he was provided with. But like I said earlier, there's definitely red flags with him as well.
Yeah. And my Giants, thank you, brother. Appreciate it. Will Shane draft O-line early, though?
Who knows? Yeah. I mean, how the hell do I know? I mean, I think he should, but that doesn't mean he will. I mean, the Buffalo Bills, the way they attacked the offensive line it was mainly through free agency. They brought in a lot of free agents, but the New York Giants don't have that luxury. We don't have a lot of money to spend in free agency. So I would think any GM that came into this situation would have taken at least one offensive lineman with one of those first 2 picks.
Yeah, you got to take one.
Yeah.
Listen, if he doesn't take one lineman with those first 2, I'm already going to be on his damn case. Right now, I'm going to be on his case.
Yeah.
This has been the offensive line's terrible. And anybody with any sense can see that that is the part that needs the most improvement, and it is the most important part outside of the quarterback of the offense is that O-line. Everything is predicated on being able to protect your quarterback and run the football, and it helps your defense as well. You can't have the offensive line having all these holes because no matter who your quarterback is, unless they're Aaron Rodgers or Deshaun Watson or an elite quarterback, and we don't have that, it's not gonna work. You need to win in the trenches.
And I continue to say that even if you have that, the objective should still be to have a really good offensive line. And that should always be the objective for any football team.
Yeah, look at Kyler Murray. I mean, Kyler Murray is great. Look what the Rams did. He had no chance.
Yeah.
Because the Rams destroyed them.
So they have to take an offensive lineman early.
My guy Kyler struggled. Yeah, bad game. That throw out of the end zone, I'm like, what are you doing? You can't do that. You can't just chuck the ball.
Oh, that throw was horrible.
That was not smart.
That was right. I know he was going to take a safety, but throw it to the side.
Yeah, that was a panic.
Yeah.
Roldy, thank you, my man. I appreciate it very much. It says GM who comes in here isn't tied to no one, let alone a quarterback he didn't draft. So they're going to want their own quarterback. They're thinking their jobs are on the line if they fail. If they have conviction, a quarterback to take them.
I agree.
Agreed. If they really like a guy
in the quarterback.
Yes. If they really like him, Roldy, they will because they know agents of damn.
I agree.
Not what I want them to do, but I really want this offensive line built. If they
And the definition for conviction for Roldy and myself may be different. The definition for conviction for me is knowing that you like that quarterback as much as any quarterback in the next draft. Like you think that quarterback could be a top 5 quarterback. That's conviction for me. If you're drafting a quarterback that high, you say to yourself, this guy could be on the level of Pat Mahomes. Maybe not quite that good, but in that conversation. If you don't feel that way, that's not conviction.
Yeah, you got to believe that guy's good enough to win a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
That has to be your conviction, in my opinion, taking it that high. He's a quarterback that can win a Super Bowl. Because what else are you taking him for?
Yeah.
JD, thank you, my man. I really appreciate it. He says, wish Bills defensive back coach John Butler as a defensive coordinator. 3-year period led the Bills secondary to top 5 rankings in opponent passing yards per game. Passing touchdowns allowed. Great work with the Houston secondary, too.
And that's a guy I'll have to look into, JD. I haven't looked much into him, but especially if we hire a guy like even if we don't hire Dable, that's going to be a guy that's a possibility due to the fact that Joe Schoen worked with guy in Buffalo. So we'll see. I mean, listen, I like Donwing Martindale, but there's going to be other guys that a lot of people don't know much about that weren't former defensive coordinators. That, we'll see. We'll see who they bring in.
Yeah, I forgot what the hell I was going to say, but it'll come back to me maybe. Zue
makes sense. And the other thing I'll say about that Buffalo Bills secondary, that has been the strength of that defense for years. For years they still don't really have a dominant edge rusher. They built that defense around the secondary. So good call by.
I was going to say I'm looking forward to them to cut down their coaching staff in half. Too. I don't want 40 coaches on this team. There's too many coaches, Chris.
Yeah,
it didn't work for Washington when Joe Gibbs came back. There was too much. Sometimes I feel like players get fed too much different information. Maybe they had a hard time processing the crap. You don't need all those extra. All those extra whatever. Too many chefs spoil a pot. Just get your basic guys and roll with them. Zuaim, thank you, brother. Appreciate it. What's good, fellas? In your analysis, what are the pros and cons between Dable and Flores? I don't know much about Dable as a head coach. I don't know anything about him as a head coach.
I think that's the con.
Right.
He has no experience in terms of being a head coach. He's a complete unknown. Some people may look at that as a con. Other people may look at it like, who cares? There's been several guys that didn't have experience and stepped in and were great. But I think that's the big con with him, for sure. He's got no experience in terms of being a head coach.
And then Flores was bad with the young quarterback and had a lot of pushback with upper management. So that's probably the cons with him. Pros, like we said, I mean, Flores turned Miami around. They were a competitive team. They were terrible when he took over, and they ended up being pretty good. The pros with Dable is look at how good Buffalo's offense is. Josh Allen.
Yeah, if somebody that's pro Dable is going to look at, how when he came in, and obviously some people point to the quarterback coach as well. I think he worked on Allen's mechanics, and they gave him a lot of credit as well with the improvement in Josh Allen. But people look at that innovative offense, and they'll say, look what he was able to do for that Buffalo Bills offense. So that's the clear pro for me. Josh Allen's evolution as a quarterback.
In our last 6 games, he scored 46 points. Bills scored 47 against the Patriots. Oh, there you go. There's the pro. Octave Chemical, thank you, my man. I really appreciate it. Maybe pick a day 3 quarterback for giggles and hope you get a Gardner Minshew-like player.
Even if you do, that's a stopgap. That's not a long-term answer.
Yeah. You never.
Yeah.
They might take one of the back. But yeah, you don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Like I said, I know like the major quarterbacks. As far as like the day 3 quarterbacks, like I wouldn't have any clue. It'll be interesting. I always look forward to the draft. Is so much fun. Chris and I covered all the draft. We have a blast. It's a lot of fun, no doubt. Capital Mob Records, thank you. Shep, Ingram, and Barkley have availability issues. Well, they're all going to be gone. I'm not Barkley, but Ingram's out. Shep's done. He won't.
They're going to cut Shep.
They're going to cut him. And Barkley's on his last year, so we'll see what they do with Barkley. But Shep and Ingram are gone. We don't need to worry about them.
Let Ingram go, get your comp pick, and move on. I'd be surprised if he's back.
I will not be happy if he's back.
Yeah, unless it was like a really cheap deal, which I don't think will happen.
Yeah, we're going to need to address the tight end spot in the draft because they're going to cut Kyle Rudolph too.
Yeah, Rudolph, they got to save the $5 million there. So I think 3rd round, 4th round, that's probably where they target a tight end. But yeah, I agree. They need a tight end.
Pay with Wheels, thank you, my man. Appreciate it. Says, I want whatever head coach will launch DJ and his son. Well, he should have borrowed Joe Judge's cannon because we all know that was the clown show. That was a circus. Sure, Joe Judge had a cannon. They probably could have shot DJ into the sun. How about, did you hear that DJ went to Joe Judge's party there?
No. Oh, I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
I think
Jones likes to drink it up.
A lot of the players were there, I think, right?
Daniel Jones likes to drink his beer.
He does. He
does.
does.
Playing flip cup with Eli, out partying without the masks.
Yes, he's a beer drinker.
He throws him back.
That.
You know, maybe he throws him back before the game. That's why he processes slowly. I've been known to process slowly. Well, I process slowly anyway, but worse when I drink. Jeez whiz, right? Brian Fuentes. Well, I don't even know who the hell Brian Fuentes is or why I keep saying that. Jeez whiz, thank you so much. Appreciate it. He says, I hope all Giants fans know Schoen, new head coach, at least 2 or 3 years before judgment this year will basically be fixing what's lost. Yeah, you got to be patient. We can't expect much as Giants fans. Just because you're getting a new GM and a new head coach, coaching staff, and a bunch of new players, you can't expect miracles. If we do end up with a miracle and win 9 or 10 games, that's amazing. But again, you just want to see improvement.
Yeah.
Improvement this year. We won 7 games. That's a massive improvement.
Listen, if you get ready for my channel, if the team is bad the next 2 years, I am not calling for a firing of either the head coach or the GM. I am going to be completely on board with giving them 3 years. Obviously, I hope it's a much quicker turnaround. I hope they're great year 1 or year 2, but I'm giving both these guys 3 years because the GM, if I'm giving the GM 3 years, it means I'm giving the head coach 3 years because he chose the head coach, and that's his most important decision. So if that's the guy he wants to work with, I'm going to give them a fair opportunity. I'm going to give him 3 years to try to build this team. Unless
he does the Joe Judge. Unless he starts throwing people under the bus, runs a quarterback sneak. If they're running quarterback sneaks on 3rd down and 9, I'm going to call for the job. I don't give a damn. I could be Vince Lombardi doing that. I'd be calling for his damn job. You can't. Chris, in my opinion, Joe Judge lost his job the last 3 games of the season.
I think Joe Judge lost his job with the 11-minute rant. I think that's when he lost his job.
You think that was it?
Yeah, because I think that's when it became a national media story. And that's when you started to see the ESPNs of the world go after you. Like, if it wasn't for that and he just had his typical, I'm going to go look at the tape. It doesn't become a story now, with the, we continue to rag on him as a fan base, but the ESPNs of the world, which I thought is what really brought the hammer down. It's a non-story. They're not talking about the Giants. So I think that's what did it in the end.
We pushed him to it with the clown music and mentioning clown show and all that. We pushed him. We did. Giants fan base, you didn't got him out of here. Giants fan base got him out of here because that's what he was responding to. Was when they asked him about fans.
That's true.
So you did it. They heard our voice. He heard it, and he didn't like it. But those are facts. Them's facts. Like Authentic says, man, facts over feelings. Sorry, Joe, but facts are you were terrible. Sorry that hurt your feelings. So facts over feelings. Manny, thank you, brother. Appreciate it. Doesn't matter what Watson does in uniform. Media will never let it go. Have to try to get Wilson. Wilson's too old. Man. I don't want Wilson. He says him behind 3 top 7-0 line picks protecting Wilson, throwing to Kenny Galladay and Kadarius Toney. Yes, healthy Saquon. I don't want
the thing is, though, Manny, you wouldn't have those picks if you traded Wilson. You're giving up at least one this year, and you're giving up at least a future one.
Yeah,
you're not getting Wilson for 1 first-round pick, so you wouldn't have those ones. If you brought in Wilson, you would have to be of the mindset that with Wilson, it's a much smaller window than a guy like Watson. With Wilson, it's you better be ready to win a Super Bowl with it by year 3.
Yeah, it's gonna be 37.
You better be able to win a Super Bowl by year 3.
Yeah, I just think Russell's too old. Like when there was rumors about this before I drafted Daniel Jones in 2019, I would have been all for it because he was 31. But he got hurt this year, and he hasn't. I love Russell. Russell Wilson's one of my favorite players, but I just feel like this is going to be a very young team, and it's rebuilding. And by the time the players develop around Russell Wilson, he will be 37 or 38 years old. So, yeah, there's a higher upside with Deshaun Watson. Not to mention, Watson's trade value could be low because of all this crap that's going on, and he's not doing Houston any good if they're not going to play him. What's he doing?
Yeah.
Well, you never know. I don't think either one of them's happening. I think if the Giants do go with a quarterback, it's going to be in the draft. But it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. For sure. L.A. Lou, thank you, brother. He says fair points, but improved O-line will help pocket issues. And they aren't starting from scratch with Jones. He's a vet who needs to be coached up. I agree. He needs to be coached up. Again, it's not even just so much the pocket issues. To me, it's he's a one-read quarterback. He's had time. He look at the stats for quarterback with pocket time. He was tied for the lead with 2.5 seconds in the pocket. To me, he just maybe the offensive line gives him confidence. The new offensive line gives him confidence. I don't know what. To me, Daniel Jones's shortcomings is all about confidence. It's in between his ears. But my question about him for 2 years is in here because physically, I think he's good enough. I think physically, Daniel Jones. I think his skill set, his ability to run the ball. I think he's got a good deep ball. I think he's accurate. I think he could be a top 10 quarterback. Skill set bottom like 10, 11 skill set alone, but there's other things that go into it. The intangibles, I don't know if he has them. I don't know if he'll ever have them, regardless of what.
It was a weird transformation with Jones because his first year, I thought he was more confident than he should have been.
Correct.
Like his rookie year, like I'd see him make throws. I'm like, no, he's not capable of making those throws. Like he shouldn't be making those throws. And then once Judge got in there, he dialed it back so much to a point where he was just ultra conservative and almost like robotic in the sense that it was almost implanted in his head, don't turn the football over. And he can't play that way. No quarterback can play that way. So I don't know. If they stick with him, let's hope he takes a monumental leap in year 4. That's what I'll say.
That's why I want to stick with him. That's why I want to stick with him. I fix the offensive line. And let's see. He doesn't cost anything. We're not winning a Super Bowl in 2022. Bringing in a rookie quarterback is not going to win us a Super Bowl. And
the only thing drafting a rookie quarterback does, because it's not making the team better.
Right.
Not year 1. It might long term, but year 1, it ain't making the team better.
Right.
Justin Herbert won 6 games his rookie year. There's no Justin Herbert in this draft. I assure you of that. Or I shouldn't say assure you. Anything could happen. The only thing drafting a rookie quarterback does is it gives the fan base hope for thinking that right now that it's hopeless because they don't believe in Daniel Jones. But I don't think it accomplishes anything in the win-loss department this year.
Yeah. And again, they'd come in and they'd have one less lineman to protect. I just really want to fix the offensive line. And again, if Daniel Jones ain't the guy, you can address him in 2023. Daniel Jones is not like, but if you get a rookie quarterback and the guy stinks, you're stuck with him. Like we are Daniel Jones. You're stuck with him for 4 years if you take him top 7. If they take Malik Willis or they take Kenny Pickett and he sucks, you're stuck with him until 2026. You're not getting rid of him. You can't just dump that guy. He makes too much money. So that's why Chris said if we traded back up in like 30th, you don't have that financial commitment. You can pretty much get rid of him and go quarterback the next year too. But if you're taking a quarterback in the top 5 or top 7, you got him for years.
Yeah.
Roldy, thank you, my man. Appreciate it. Says Colts, they tell you got to realize there's a chance the Giants will take a quarterback whether you guys like it or not. Well, yeah, it doesn't matter what we like. Since 2018, Shane and Bean have been the only 2 offensive line they took in the draft, and it only came in the 2nd and 3rd rounds.
Maybe they will. I don't know what they're going to do.
Yeah.
We didn't like
Daniel Jones. They did it.
What they should do. I don't know what they're going to do. And I'm going to give whatever they do outside of taking like a friggin' running back or a kicker or a punter or a long snapper.
Or wide receiver.
Or even a wide receiver this year with those top 2 picks. I'm not going to flip out. I'm going to give my opinion. And if I am against what they do, I'm going to pray I'm wrong.
Exactly.
And if I'm for what they do, I'm going to pray I'm right. It's just opinions.
Yeah, I agree. Ed saying you appreciate it. You can't force offensive linemen. Seems to be a drop-off after Neal. Depends on who you ask. I don't know. There's people that have negative things to say on Evan Neal too. So it depends on what you're looking for. It depends on what they see. Tyler Linderbaum is not a drop-off. At that position, Tyler Linderbaum's the best lineman in the country. I even see Eagles. I think Joey Shakespeare in the video said, damn, Tyler Linderbaum is good. Tyler Linderbaum is going top 10. Tyler Linderbaum can play.
I think he is too. I think Linderbaum's going top 10.
He's going to us, Dan.
I don't know where he's being mocked right now, but I think in the end, who knows? It depends on what the needs are of the teams in the top 10, but I think
you need a center.
He's definitely capable of going top 10. I'll tell you that right now.
You need a center. Center. Yeah, Tyler Linderbaum. Let's go. Should have taken Creed Humphreys last year, but they didn't. So now you got to take Tyler Linderbaum. We need a center. You want to go in there with Billy Price? I don't.
Billy Price. Oh my God.
I don't know. The price was wrong, bitch.
Oh my
I don't
God.
want that.
Oh, I can't believe he was a first-round pick.
Darian, thank you, my man. That's when the Bengals are bad. That's why the Bengals were bad for all those years. Because of stuff like that. He says, thoughts on Nick Foles as a backup? He would be cheap. I was actually going to mention him when you said Trubisky.
Yeah, I mean, he's a possibility. He's a guy that would be similar like a guy, I guess, like Joe Flacco, who's on like the back nine of his career. I think Trubisky's a better fit, though. Yeah. I just think he's similar to Daniel Jones in terms of his skill set. I just think he's a better fit. But yeah, Nick Foles is a credible backup. And
he'd be a massive upgrade. So yeah, I have no problem.
Yeah,
I want a legitimate backup though this time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Macaulay Psycho. The thumbnail always cracks me up. Thank you. Appreciate it. Says Josh Allen wasn't polished. Mahomes sat for a year. Eli didn't start till halfway through year one. People take projects atop of round one all the time. I wouldn't say Eli Manning was a project.
Eli Manning was the first overall pick.
What's that?
Eli Manning was the first overall pick. He wasn't.
Yeah, he wasn't. He was not.
He just came into a situation where he got the benefit of like being able to sit for half a season.
Right.
And back then, Baddog, that's what teams did.
Right.
Eli was drafted more often than not. It really wasn't until like Matt Ryan's draft year, because I remember when Matt Ryan got drafted by the Falcons, people were like shocked that he was starting day one. And I'm sure there's other instances where it happened, but that's kind of what teams did back then when you took quarterbacks early.
Yeah, same thing in Mahomes. Mahomes sat behind Alex Smith. The Chiefs won 12 games that year, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. Yeah.
With Alex Smith,
if we had a situation like the Chiefs, we would do the same thing. If you have a winning team, same thing with the 49ers with Garoppolo.
And Josh Allen wasn't drafted in the top 10. I think he was 11.
No, he was. I think he was 7. I think they traded up to 7.
Did he trade him and get him at 7? I don't know.
Yeah, I think the Bills were like 12 and they moved up to 7 to get him. Yeah, he was taking, and yeah, you could definitely say that he was a project, and projects do go top 10. I'm not saying they don't, and one could this year.
Yeah, I don't want a project top 10 though.
Yeah,
I'm not looking for that. It's rare that I mean, Josh Allen's skill set was great. I thought he was picked. I didn't know they traded up to get him.
Yeah, I think he went 7 and Rosen went 10.
Rosen did go 10. For some reason, I thought Josh Allen went after him. I don't know. Well, Rosen didn't work out either.
Yeah, no, he didn't work out.
Penguin Wheels, thank you, brother. He says, if we bring Trubisky, he'll win the job over DJ. He might.
He could.
I mean, I can tell you this. Again, there's no allegiance to Daniel Jones. So if they did bring in Trubisky or Foles or whoever, and they outperform Daniel Jones.
I got to look this up now because somebody said he went 17. I'm going to look it up right now because
I don't think Josh Allen went 17.
I'm going to look it up right now. Here's the draft order. Mayfield 1, Barkley 2, Darnold 3, Denzel Ward 4, Bradley Chubb 5, Quentin Nelson 6, Josh Allen 7.
Well, there goes 7.
Yeah, Josh Allen went 7, Rosen went 10.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. Josh Allen ended up being the best quarterback out of that top 10.
Yeah.
That year, by far. Chris
good.
B, thank you, my man. Appreciate it. He says, y'all can have McCarthy. I'll drive him to New York myself. What a bum. I'm praying Jerry Jones fires him. We have the worst coach in the division. See, I love this, though. I said this on Twitter. I said, people think Giants fans' reaction. The Cowboys were 12-5.
I'd be shocked. And you and me were not big fans of McCarthy.
No, I don't like
doing their coaching search. We didn't want him. But I would be shocked if the Dallas Cowboys fire McCarthy. The only way there's 2 ways I guess I could see it happening. One, it would have to be for Jim Harbaugh. Like, it would have to be for a guy that they, a huge name head coach that they feel like could put this team in a position to win a Super Bowl. 2 would be like if they felt like they were going to lose Kellen Moore. And they were like, okay, we got to make the move now because we want to – Kellen Moore is the guy waiting in the wings. We want to make him the head coach. But outside of that, I don't see it. And I off a 12-win season, and I know that they lost in the playoffs, but it's not like they lost to a bad team. Like, to me, the 49ers were a better football team than Dallas. It's just that the 49ers struggled at the beginning of the year. I had the 49ers as a top 3 or 4 team in the NFC before the year started, and they got rolling at the end of the year. They won 7 out of their last 9. They beat the Rams twice. They beat Cincinnati during that stretch. So I thought going in, the 49ers were a better team. I thought it was a kind of a coin flip game because it was in Dallas. So I don't know. Like, I don't think McCarthy should be fired. He got 12 wins for a team that most people thought was going to win 9 at the beginning of the year. I'm not a McCarthy fan, but I don't think they'll fire McCarthy, especially for an organization that has displayed patience in the past. Like, how many years did we think they were going to fire Garrett and they didn't? So,
right. And they were
I
8-8 every year with Garrett.
Yeah, I don't expect them to fire McCarthy.
Yeah, 12-5. It's hard to listen. I mean, it doesn't matter who it is. Cowboys won 3 playoff games since their last Super Bowl. So, like, none of the coaches really succeeded in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Pain with wheels. Thank you, brothers. I don't care what color quarterback is as long as it ain't DJ. That's Jeffrey Abbey's favorite other account. Not that is Jeffrey Abbey's account, but Jeffrey Abbey loves Peyton Manning with wheels. I can tell you that. He's like, yes.
And by the way, I saw somebody, I think it was a pimp named Slickback says McCarthy is awful. What the blank? I think he is awful, but I don't think they're going to fire him. I don't like McCarthy. I never liked McCarthy. All you got to do is look at Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers forced him out of there because he couldn't stand the guy. He gets LaFleur in there, and he's had the 2 greatest years of his career. So I'm not a McCarthy guy. I've never been a McCarthy guy. I was not pounding the pavement for the New York Giants to bring him in. I still don't think he's going to get fired.
Right. Neo Mazlumi. I hope I didn't botch that. I probably did. He says, hit me with a follow on Twitter at Giants Info. Why was the Dable interview so quick? I had him lined up. I don't know.
I could be wrong. I think they had to do it because I think if they win this week, maybe they can't interview him once they advance to the championship round.
Yeah.
And I think that's why he's interviewing Leslie Frazier tomorrow. Yeah. And plus, they have familiarity. So, basically, he probably said, Dable, I know you, and you're probably going to get the job.
Right.
I got 7 other guys and pick who I want, but we'll see. But, yeah, I think that was the reasoning because the Bills are in the playoffs, and if they advance, I don't think he could interview him.
Yes. It's reality. I also saw Kenny Tompkins in here, so shout out to the 518 fellas. I met reality at the casino about 20 miles south of where I live.
Oh, nice.
A year ago or whatever it was. I'm there. I'm there. And I hear someone go Baddog. And I'm like, who the hell calls me Baddog? It's weird. I was like, oh, shit. I didn't know who that. That's the weirdest thing. There's somebody knowing you from YouTube, especially because nobody really does know me up here. But that was interesting. But cool guy. Definitely cool guy. He's there for the fun. There was a fight going on there. I forgot. It was like a year ago. Maybe a year and a half ago. I forget. I haven't been there in a long time. I usually go to the one by my house. But thank you, sir. He says, cross Aquanu Linderbaum, give a Harbaugh a blank check. I like your draft picks.
Yeah.
I get Harbaugh. I also like Harbaugh, but I just don't think that's going to.
I don't think we're getting Harbaugh. I mean, you got to think realistically. They just hired Shane. The only way we would have gotten Harbaugh is I think he would have needed basically to be the GM and the head coach. I think the fact that the New York Giants hired Joe Schoen, I don't see it happening.
Yeah, I agree.
I never really thought it was going to happen, but that makes it it cements it for me.
Rolly, thank you for the super chat. Appreciate it. Without a franchise quarterback, you ain't going nowhere. Ask the Colts. They build that team. Yes, Luck retired at an unfortunate time, but they still can't move forward having Wentz. I agree, but we don't know that there's a franchise quarterback in this draft.
I think we all agree. I mean, all you got to do is look at the final teams.
We know Daniel Jones isn't. We know that.
Outside of the Titans and the Niners, who are built very well, every other team has a franchise quarterback, right? I mean, let me think of Joe Burrow, obviously Pat Mahomes,
Rodgers,
Josh Allen, Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, and Matt Stafford. So outside of those 2, the other 6 are franchise quarterbacks. So nobody's debating that. Everybody knows franchise quarterbacks to win Super Bowls. It's just a matter of when you take the quarterback, picking the right one and putting them in the best situation to succeed.
Yeah. Kevin, I'm up. Thank you, brother. Appreciate it. Only way Watson comes to New York is hiring Flores. Agreed.
Yeah, I agree. If they hired Flores, I would actually talk about it as a somewhat realistic possibility. If they don't hire Flores, it's just get it out of your head.
Exactly. Grim Silo, thank you, brother. Appreciate it. Flores is very similar to Judge, both in being conservative and hard-ass Patriots approach. He does a lapse thing. Seems like a lateral move. I think they just I'll be honest, I don't think he's getting a job. I do think it's going to be David. I thought that they were the favorites from day one. But you never know. There's nothing set in stone, but I do think it's going to be David. I really do.
Yeah, I do too. I don't think they're going to hire. I don't see them hiring another Patriots guy. I really don't. Right after they just fired Judge, I don't think they're going to hire Flores. I could be wrong, but I don't think they're going to hire Flores.
There's my man right there. Just talking about him earlier because Joey Shakes, great Philadelphia Eagles content creator, and I mean that. There's not many great Philadelphia Eagles content creators. He's one because he's not a BSer. He actually will criticize the team. He's great. And I've had him on the channel before. Joey Shakes is a good dude. Sub him up if you haven't. He says Brian Dable, New York could happen. Love the show, guys. You know who else he loves? Tyler Linderbaum because he saw the video. He loves Tyler Linderbaum.
What's up, Joey, man? Thanks for popping in. And I think Brian Dable's the favorite to the Giants right now. We'll see if he gets the job, but I think he's the favorite, and we definitely share a love for Linderbaum. I'm a big Linderbaum fan myself.
Definitely. Can't let him get to the Eagles. They already have a good enough offense. Because, listen, Kelsey, I think Kelsey's contract is up, if I'm not mistaken. But Jason Kelsey's getting up there anyway.
Yeah.
He's going to the Hall of Fame. I don't want to see the Eagles replace Jason Kelsey with Tyler Linderbaum, and then you got to live with another damn Hall of Fame center there for the next 12 years.
You know the Eagles will take him if he gets
Listen, it would be a fit.
Yeah.
It would be a fit.
They would take him if he got there.
Yeah. King Mammoth, thank you, brother. Appreciate it. One thing for sure, DJ should be a great offensive coordinator one day.
I have no idea.
I don't know either.
I don't know what tells you that. I mean, it's not like the guy's been incredible at reading defenses, so I don't. Maybe I have no idea.
Yes. I love this, man. Macaulay looks like a goat. Macaulay's like it's Macaulay Culkin. Whatever happened? Look what happened to him, man. Thank you for the super chat. He says, why would he be forced to take one offensive lineman with his first round? Only Dallas has used more than one first round on their own line out of the top 15 OLs. Out of the top 15 OLs is in the NFL. They're not forced to do anything, but Dallas also didn't have 2 top 10 picks or 2 first round picks back then. They took them one at a time, and then they got their quarterback and they got their running back. They're not forced to do anything. Nobody's forcing them to do anything. But the Giants' offensive line is an absolute disaster. Outside of Andrew Thomas, you have nothing on that line. Will Hernandez ain't coming back here. Billy Price is trash. We don't know what Nick Gates is. They obviously don't believe in Matt Parrott whatsoever because he got beat out by Nate Solder, who was like the worst right tackle in the league, and Nate Solder's gone. We don't have any line here at all. So it's not necessarily like they're forced to do it, but God almighty, we need help there. We need help there.
And I'm pretty sure maybe they didn't rank top 15 this year, but they've ranked by, I don't know what metrics he's looking at. They've ranked top 5 like each of the last 5 years before this year. I don't know what they ranked this year, but the New Orleans Saints took Cesar Ruiz in the first round. They took in 2020, they took Ruiz 24th overall. In 2019, their first pick that they didn't have a first round pick. They took Eric McCoy 48th overall in 2019. In 2017, they took Ryan Ramczyk with a first round pick. So their first pick of 2019 was a lineman. Their first pick of 2020 was a lineman. Their first round pick, they had 2 first round picks, but one of their first round picks of 2017 was a lineman.
2014, I think they took Andrews Pete.
Andrews Pete was their first round pick of 2015. So I looked at the New Orleans Saints. First pick that they had in 2015 was a lineman. One of their 2 first round picks of 2017 was a lineman. Their first pick in 2019 was a lineman, and their first round pick in 2020 was a lineman. And they took a lineman in this draft. So to act like good teams don't take linemen early, the Browns took a couple of linemen early, and they spent a lot of money. Like, yes, you could take more than one offensive lineman in the first round. It's not crazy.
Yeah, exactly. Macaulay Psycho, thank you again. He says Brian Dable's had some horrific games. I watched both the Bills and the Giants. Bills fans wanted Dable fired midseason this year. He sucks without Josh Allen. I mean, everybody's had horrific games, I would imagine.
Yeah, Brian Dable's had some horrific games. I watched both Bills and Giants. Bills fans wanted. Yeah, I've heard some people be critical of Brian Dable. I think every team is going to be critical of whoever their offensive coordinator is. Yeah. I think that the knock on the Bills all season is that they haven't been able to run the ball. And I don't know if some of that falls on play calling or whatever. I'll say they were able to run the ball late in the season and definitely in the playoff game. But listen, let's see who they bring in and hope that Dable's the guy if they bring him in. He's definitely not a sure thing like some fans may be making it out to be. I just think he's the favorite right now.
Yeah, I agree. By the way, hit that like button if you haven't done so, guys. Thank you so much for being here. I really do appreciate it. 900 in the chat. Smack the like button. It helps out the stream more to know. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Ring the bell. More importantly, make sure you go into the description. Link to the Entertainment Talking Sports right there. Sub him up. We're doing the show on his channel next week, and by then we'll probably know who our head coach is. We'll talk about that, and then we'll probably have a better idea of what we're going to do, and we'll start talking about all that stuff, and maybe we'll know who our offense coordinator is and whatever. We'll talk about it as the offseason progresses all the way up to the draft. Like I said, probably after the Super Bowl, we might take some time off before the draft. But depending on what's going on. If there's news, we'll do the show, but if nothing's going on, we're not just going to.
Yeah. If there's something worth talking about, we'll do the show. We're going to do the show, like you said, up until the Super Bowl, and then we'll take it day by day after that.
And, of course, January 30th is Championship Sunday. We do both games together. One on his channel, one on mine. We'll depend on AFC, NFC, we'll see. I usually do the AFC games. He usually does the NFC games, but we'll see. Roldy, thank you, man. Really appreciate it. Says Dave Gettleman was a bad talent evaluator. So is Mara. So we needed to take an offensive lineman early. Shane is a much better talent evaluator than Dave Gettleman. To be honest, Roldy, I think everybody in this chat probably better than Dave Gettleman. So I'm sure I'll find guys in the middle rounds. But that's it, Roldy. I mean, if we're going to build a solid franchise here, you do need to find guys in the middle rounds. And we have five picks in the top 77?
Yeah, but my answer to Roldy and to anybody that thinks that way, and I'm not saying you're wrong, everybody's entitled to their opinion. You could say that about any position on a football team outside of quarterback. Generally, you want to take your quarterback as early as possible, but they should be able to find value at the wide receiver spot. They should be able to find value at the cornerback spot. You could say that about any position. Like, there's plenty of very good GMs that prioritize taking linemen early. You can say that about any position. They should be able to find value anywhere on the roster. So I don't get the mindset that you can't take a lineman in the first round if you think there's a guy that's going to help significantly improve your biggest weakness on your current roster.
Yeah, I don't know if he was saying that. He just said we needed to take an offensive line early, which we did. I mean, he should have done that every pick that he had.
I know. I think what he said was due to the fact that we pull it back up again. Maybe I read it wrong. Dave Gettleman was a bad talent evaluator, so he's saying we needed to take a line early when Gettleman was here. Shane is a much better talent evaluator than Gettleman, so I'm sure he will find guys in the middle rounds.
Oh, talking about offensive linemen?
Yeah, that's the way I read it. He's basically saying, well, Gettleman was here. We needed to take early offensive linemen because he couldn't evaluate linemen. Now that a new guy's coming in, he could take offensive linemen rounds 3 to 5 and find good ones. But I could say that about any position on a football team.
You never know. I mean, he could, but I still would rather have I'd rather have the guys that are the top prospects because you can still miss. They could come out, they could suck. It's very possible. You could, and like you just said, Chris, about any position, you need that in any position in late rounds. You can take any position in the top 5 picks overall, and they could suck.
Yeah.
You hope it don't happen, but that it's a fact. I mean, it happens more than it probably should, especially with quarterbacks. But it happens, But the problem is that's been happening to us too frequently, and it needs to stop. Yeah. Ed, thank you, brother. Appreciate it. Where would Rashawn Slater rank in this offensive line class?
Probably 1. Well, him or Neil. Neil might be. I don't know. He'd definitely be 1 or 2. I mean, now he'd be 1 after we saw he played at the NFL level. But coming out of college, I'm not sure it would be higher. But if not 1, he'd be 2, probably behind Neil.
Yeah. Well, the combine always tells you a lot. They love the combine, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Avery, thank you, brother. Appreciate it. We interviewed Dable tonight. We need an offense. That we do.
When we're interviewing Frazier tomorrow, and those interviews to me or whatever, like he already has a lot of familiarity with those guys. It's going to be the other guys that are going to be interesting and to see what comes out of that and which guys they bring in. But I think Dable's the favorite. Yeah, I agree. I believe so as well. Pencil Man. Thank you for the super chat. He says Neil and Linderbaum with Gates if he comes back and Thomas to be a good start. Agree. Neil and Linderbaum. I don't think Neil's getting to us, but yes, that'd be pretty damn good. Yeah, that'd be pretty damn good is right. I'm not banking on Gates, but you get those 2 with Thomas. Our lines. Yeah, like you just said, it's a pretty good start for sure. Peyton with wheels. Thank you, brother. Let's be honest. If you remove the Lions, Tampa, Jets, and Washington 2019 games, Deion Jones is the same quarterback every year. Stop with the wishful nonsense. There is no wishful nonsense. I've made that point myself, Peyton with wheels, a number of times. He had 13 touchdowns and no interceptions in those 3 games against the Lions, Jets, and Washington. He had 11 touchdowns and 12 interceptions in the other 9 games that he played. I agree with you.
Daniel Jones at 21 touchdowns, 17 interceptions the last 2 seasons. I agree with you. 3 good games really bolstered his numbers. I'm not denying that. I've brought that setup a number of times myself. I just want to see what he does with a good offensive line. That's it. And if he sucks, we move on. I just don't want to force a quarterback this year. I don't think it. I just don't. I don't like the quarterbacks in this draft class in the top 10. If we were picking 21st, I'd be fine with it. I just there to me. I just we have to build from the inside out. We haven't done that. It's failed. We got to get that damn line in order. It has to happen.
Yeah.
But I don't think anybody's telling you Daniel Jones is a franchise quarterback here.
No. He's got a lot more to prove before I feel that way.
Yeah. Greg, thanks. And he might not even get a chance to prove it. He might be gone.
Yeah.
Greg, thank you for Super Chat. Says there is no second read with 2 seconds to throw. How long do you think quarterbacks have to throw? Get online, help with the top 2 picks, see what he does in a real offensive scheme. Most quarterbacks get rid of the ball in 2 seconds. Most quarterbacks go through it. He can't. That's his biggest downfall. He had 2.5 seconds in the pocket. Look it up. He was tied for the most time in the pocket, 2.5 seconds. Most quarterbacks are boom, 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 bang, gone. Tom Brady, good quarterback with a quick release and goes through the progressions fast enough, helps out a bad offensive line.
Yeah. No,
So
I would.
2 seconds. 2 seconds is enough.
Yeah, I mean, I think the scheme needs an upgrade, but it's not. I'm not making excuses for Jones anymore. It's year 4. The scheme excuse is not going to hold any more water. Whether it's fair or whether it's not, because I think a lot of people are going to say that are Daniel Jones fans are going to be like, well, he's going to start off slow. He's learning a third scheme rather in his 4th year. It's going to take some time. Daniel Jones is out of time. If he comes back as the starting quarterback next year, he needs to show huge growth to prove that he's worthy of a second contract. If he's the starter going into next year. There's no more time for Daniel Jones. Next year is it, regardless of the situation. If not, you got to cut your ties and start over.
But again, this is why I want, and Chris wants, 2 offensive linemen. Because no matter who the quarterback is, we would like that guy we would like to have time to throw, not feel rushed all the time, and make bad decisions with the football. That's why that's important. No matter if it's Daniel Jones or Malik Willis or Kenny Pickett or Mitch Trubisky or whoever the hell the quarterback is in 2022, you want them to be protected. So got to get the line. And going forward, not just this year, but years to come. You want to build the offensive line so whoever the hell the quarterback is has time to throw, has time to locate receivers down the field, has time to do other things. Starts there, Slickback, thank you, brother. The Saquon pick was worse than the DJ pick. I'm sorry.
I agree. In retrospect, I agree, because at least the Jones pick made sense. They thought he was their guy. He was their quarterback. The Barkley pick never really made a whole lot of sense in retrospect. They should have started the rebuild. So, yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Elon Musk is in the chat. Let's see. Zig, thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it. Tainah was on earlier to bring in the new GM. It was too early for me to have a beer. It's not now. Cheers, fellas. Let's hope for better days ahead. Yeah, I was at work when I saw that news broke. I saw that, and I just added it to the community notes because the community notes initially was like, maybe we'll know by then, and then I saw around 12:30, whatever the hell it was when I was at lunch. I was like, oh shit, okay, well now I know I can put that in there that we do know who it is, and I was able to post some things on Twitter. It's too early for me to have a beer too, but I had some earlier tonight, so that's good. Octave, thank you, brother. Appreciate it. Well, good news is the offense literally can't get worse. That's a fact. This previous year, no matter what, it's Dable, Flores, etc. 31st the last 2 years.
Can't get worse. It better get better.
Yeah. Can't be the same either.
Yeah, it better get better.
It won't be. It can't be.
I'm not gonna say it won't be, because we say it won't be every year, and I gotta see results, but I don't think it will be.
Yeah, it can't be worse. Mike Glennon's not gonna be our quarterback.
Well, yeah, and the scheme has to be an upgrade if you're bringing Dable over Garrett. So you have to think it'll be better.
Lifestyle Rel, thank you so much, man. Really appreciate it. Says Giants can sign the Bills free agents.
There's not many, Rel. I was looking at it today. Somebody brought it up. There's not many guys worth signing. Trubisky being one. We talked about him earlier, but Mario Addison's like 34. there's not many good ones. Emmanuel Sanders, an older wide receiver. There's not many good ones.
Roldy, thank you for the super chat, man. I really appreciate this. I disagree. This draft is deep with the offensive line. As much as I love Linderbaum, he isn't going in the top 10 in the draft, fellas. Teams don't value, I think it's offensive line or offensive center that high. Travis Frederick was highly touted. He went 31st, so stop. Didn't Cesar Ruiz go 24th to the Saints?
He went 24th. You had, I think the draft before the Vikings took a center at like 17. Bradbury maybe was. I can't. Garrett Bradbury was it? But yeah, I mean, centers don't typically go top 10. I agree with that. And who knows? There's no knowing what. I think it's. Let's put it this way. It's certainly possible he could go top 10. Like, I won't be shocked if he goes top 10. But I could see him dropping to like 15, 16 because of positional value. I could see it. I don't think he'll fall much later than that, but I could definitely see him falling out of the top 10. It's kind of a, a coin flip for me. It depends on what the team needs are and how, highly he's valued. If a team really needs a center, this guy is the most talked about center prospect in years. I could certainly see somebody taking him 7, 8, 9, 10.
He's the best lineman in the draft.
Yeah. So
he is.
We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah. We will see. I like him. I would take him top 7 and not bat an eye. I mean, the same thing. I mean, Rolly, I got to look at it this way too. In 2018, if we would have taken, Quentin Nelson, people like, well, you can't take a guard at 2. You can't take a guard at 2. And then we took Saquon Barkley. We saw how good Quentin Nelson was. Everyone's like, why do we take a guard? Why do we? So if Tyler Linderbaum goes 15th or goes 16th to the Eagles and he kills it over there, like Humphreys is killing it for Kansas City, everybody's going to scream, why didn't we take Linderbaum?
Yeah.
It happens all the time. Hindsight's always 20/20. But, to me, every one of the positions on the offensive line is important for this team.
Yeah.
So, also, it would let Nick Gates move back to his natural position if he can come back and play. I don't know. In a perfect world, we could trade back and get Tyler Linderbaum.
That's perfect.
That's in a perfect world. That could happen. Maybe somebody loves Hamilton and he's there at 7 and they want to get up there and they get him. And we can trade back to 12 or 13 and get him there. That'd be amazing. We'll see. That's why the draft, Roldy, that's why the draft is fun. That's why we love the draft. You never know. It's a lot of fun. The draft is a lot of fun, not just with the Giants, but the entire draft to see where everybody goes. Pete the Skeet, thank you. Appreciate it. He says, I'd really love to see Icky and Tyler Linderbaum at 5 and 7. I do really like Ajabo and would also be happy to see us take him at 7.
Yeah, I mean, Ajabo is definitely in play. I haven't looked at the most recent mocks, but it seems like he's going in that 7 to 10 area. And the Giants need an edge, so he's certainly in play. I could definitely see the Giants taking an edge. It's gonna,
they could also take Nakobe Dean. That's not.
What did you say?
Nakobe Dean. Another guy.
Anything's possible. I'm trying to think of the way. It's hard for me to see the way the Bills drafted because, Shane was there because they weren't picking at the top of the draft for the majority of his tenure there. When they were, they took a quarterback. So, it's hard for me to see how they to speculate based off what they did when he was there, what he'll do with the Giants, but. I don't know. But edge is obviously a big need, and we definitely could take one. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yep, agreed. We have a lot of needs, so it'll be interesting. That's why it'll be so interesting to see exactly what they do. And my Giants, thank you, man. Really appreciate it. McCarthy has more blubber rolls than wins. He may. He has some playoff wins, maybe. He's got a lot of wins.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of wins. Bill L., thank you for the super chat. Appreciate it. He says, do not overthink it. Jim Harbaugh. Yeah, but Harbaugh wants more control than he get here, and I think he's going to Vegas.
I'm one of the biggest Harbaugh fans there are. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
I do think he's going to take the job with the Raiders. I do think he's leaving college. I really do, but I don't think he's coming here.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't even think we're going to interview him.
I don't think so either. He would have had more. He would have had to have more control.
Yeah.
NY Giants 26. Thank you, brother. How does it work? Does Joe have to wait to be eliminated to come to New York, or is he not a part of the Bills anymore mid-playoffs? I'm confused.
No, he's with the Giants.
Yeah.
He could still, I guess, work with the Bills for the rest of the year, but he's with the Giants. And my guess would be it's not like, at this point in the season,
Yeah, the Bills have nothing to do. They're not making those moves.
He's not needed anymore. He'll get his credit for the Super Bowl if they win. He'll get his ring as the assistant GM or whatever, but he's going to start thinking about the New York Giants now. I mean, that's the way it works. So, no, he's with the Giants now, man.
Yes. Ramon, thank you. Appreciate it. Hear me out. Joe Judge is offensive coordinator. No thanks.
Hear me out. Lay off the weed. There's no way. Joe Judge doesn't even have qualifications to be an offensive coordinator. The guy was a special teams coordinator. So absolutely not. Joe Judge wouldn't even be a good offensive coordinator in 1960, let alone today. So no, absolutely not.
I can't get on board with Joe Judge's anything with this team. Maybe the circus coordinator. He probably can do that pretty good. But Joe Judge can go jump in the Hudson River. And like I said, go swim laps in the Hudson River with cement shoes, Joe. Frank Corona, thank you, brother. Appreciate it. Give me a right tackle at 5, Ojabo at 7. Then he can pick inside linebackers or inside offensive linemen. Yeah, in rounds 2 and 4. A good GM has to hit on value to build the offensive line. Can't depend on top 10 picks. It's a fact.
That's kind of where my head is at too, Frank. Like I'm not going to be upset if they take 2 linemen, but I think that's where my head is too. I think I want to take 1 lineman and take a top tier defensive player with the other pick, and then go offensive line in the second round. That's probably what I want. But again, if they take Linderbaum, I will not be upset at all. But that's probably where my head is too right now. Again, not going to be upset for sure. I'm going to be just as excited as Baddog will be if we take 2 offensive linemen. But I think my head at right now is probably tackle, defense, interior offensive lineman in the second round.
We definitely need one of each.
Yeah.
Like if they went to Kobe Dean, I'm not going to be mad at that either. Kid's an absolute beast. And, we need an inside linebacker, so why not? We need all kinds of linebackers on this freaking team. We need a linebacker since LT left. We needed linebackers. Well, I guess Jesse Armstead is pretty good, but we really haven't had a great linebacking core. We won the other 2 Super Bowls with our defensive line, not so much a linebacking core.
Armstead was great.
24/7. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate it. Hey guys, Dable was a Patriots coach at one point, but I'm a huge fan of him. Carolina connection in Buffalo will have Jones playing like baby Cam / Allen. Yeah.
Wow.
I wish from your lips to God's ears, as Chris says, my man.
I hope you're right, man. And Jets 24/7 is a great guy. He actually reached out to me. We're going to start collaborating a little bit. I've been on his channel before, so looking forward to that. We're going to do a little Jets Giants action in the offseason here and there, so be on the lookout for that. But I hope you're right, man. I hope he becomes the next Allen. That'd be incredible. I'm not going to have those aspirations for him, but I hope you're right, man.
Yeah. Listen, I'll be happy if he's middle of the pack, to be honest with you.
I see people bring up Pierce. Antonio Pierce is probably the best middle linebacker since I've been watching the team. For the Giants,
with the linebacking core in general, like he was,
but he wasn't a drafted player either. He was right. He came. I think he started with. I know he was with Washington before us. I don't know if that's the team he initially started with.
We also got LeVar Arrington from Washington.
Yeah, well, our middle linebackers since I've been watching the team have been for the most part free agents. Like Michael Barrow was a pretty good middle linebacker for the team that went to the Super Bowl in 2000, but he originally came from the Panthers.
Yeah.
We haven't drafted
Martinez. He was a Packer.
Yeah, Martinez a Packer. We haven't drafted a top high-end middle linebacker.
I know there's been a playmaking linebacker on this since Jesse Armstead. I don't know how much about. I remember Pierce getting beat in 2008 by Brian Westbrook running that crossing pattern, running into the end zone. Like I know he was way better than that, but that's my lasting vision of him. Was that play? I don't care. I just want somebody. I want good players. I don't give a damn who the hell they are. I just want to win. I really do. And this is all speculation. We can talk about all these guys. They could be great. They could suck. We don't know. We need so much.
Yeah, we do.
It'll be interesting to see what direction they go. It really will. I'm anxious to see it. Jordan, thank you, brother. He says, I like Linderbaum too, but I think we can trade back outside the top 10 to get him. I'd like him and Aquanu. Fix the damn offensive line. Love the stream. Thank you, buddy.
That's a dream, man. If you can trade down and still get Linderbaum, that's a dream for me. But
that would be the best case scenario if we were able to accrue draft picks and still get Linderbaum for sure. Mr. Finesse, thank you, brother. Appreciate it. Salute, fellas. I'm just glad we have a new mind to make these picks. I can't imagine what Gettleman would have done. Me neither. We can take a step forward in year one. Got to. Can't step back from this.
It can't get worse. Well, I'm not going to say it. I'm
Chris,
not going to say it.
Yeah, I mean, I can't
I'm not trying to jinx anything. So I think it'll get better next year. I'm not trying to jinx anything.
It can't get worse. It can't. There's no way. I'm not, like I said, people are like, oh, you're jinxing. I'm like, if my words had that much power, I wouldn't be on YouTube. I'd rule the world if my words had power like that. But if we want to give Gettleman credit for anything, he set this GM up with a lot of draft picks.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. He did.
Thank you. Appreciate it. He says, Chris, I never said that, but my point is you're too damn tunnel vision with your approach. Smart GMs build their offensive line throughout most of the draft.
I don't disagree with that. I just said I wouldn't take 2 offensive linemen in the first round. Probably in this draft. I would probably try to get one in the second and in the first. And in 2019, I didn't want to take a lineman. I wanted to take Josh Allen. I wanted to take defense because that was the strength of the draft. 2020, I was strongly in favor of taking a tackle because we obviously needed one. And that was the strength of the draft. It was the strongest tackle draft class in years. Last year, we completely ignored the position. We didn't draft a single lineman. We lost our most credible lineman with Kevin Zeitler. And right now we have 1 good offensive lineman and nobody else. And we have 2 first-round picks. So nobody's going to convince me that we shouldn't take at least one with one of those 2 picks. It's the biggest need right now on this roster. So I don't think I'm that tunnel vision. I think I identify that that's by far the biggest need on this team outside of course, the quarterback, which is the most important position. But it's something that needs to be fixed big time. And it's something that's needed to be fixed for this team for the last 12 years.
Yeah. It's been a while since you've had a good offensive line. It really has. You get him where you can get him. Like I said, I'm outside of them taking a wide receiver, running back. I'm not gonna be. I don't want a quarterback, but I'm not gonna flip shit like I did when Daniel Jones was drafted. That's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
Kevin Paul, thank you, my man. Appreciate it. It's interesting to see Schoen work with every part of this team, not just coaching staff and player evaluation, but with all the injuries we've had this year, the doctors, strength, and training guys too. Yeah, we got some bad luck with the damn. And that's a great point, is our training staff, how we have all these guys with all these injuries all the time. The turf is to blame for some of it. The turf is crappy. I don't know if Jets Talk 24/7 still in here, but any Jets fan will tell you that too. That turf's bad.
Yeah.
It's not good turf. But yeah, the strength and conditioning guys, we always have injuries. It's insane.
They got to change the turf again. They got to, man. All you hear about is how that's such a big problem, and we've seen so many non-contact injuries. That's got to be improved upon.
Yeah, I agree. Without a doubt. Rick Rula, thank you so much, man. Really appreciate it. Says the thing that worries me the most about Flores is the Dolphins' offensive coordinator situation the last few years. I think he's a great coach, but RO was so bad. I'm leaning towards a more offensive coach.
Yeah, I think I tend to agree with you. And again, I'm not gonna be upset if they take Flores, but the other thing that he doesn't seem to work well with others, and I think the Giants will look at that. And I don't know if that's gonna be the most attractive thing for Schoen. Of course, Schoen I think has a prior history with him, if I'm not mistaken. So because maybe he doesn't actually. He was with the Dolphins, but no, it didn't coincide with Flores. So I don't know. I don't think he's gonna be the guy that we choose. I'd be surprised.
I would be too. I really think it's gonna be David.
Yeah.
Chill boy, thank you. Really appreciate it. A little late to the party. Not sure if anyone said this already, but I love Brian Flores. But I think the Giants need an offensive-minded coach, hire a great defensive coordinator.
Back to back. Yeah, I think a lot of Giants fans feel that way right now. I think most Giant fans are thinking. I think they completely agree with you, Chill. I think most Giant fans say, yeah, we think he could be a good coach, but it may not be the coach that we need right now.
Correct.
Yeah.
We don't want a guy like Joe Judge. I think we need something completely different. If there's similarities with Joe Judge, which there seem to be, we don't need that. I do think Brian Flores is a good.
I see a name Slickback says Harbaugh doesn't work well with others either. That's fair, and I think that's the big detractor for Harbaugh as well, and that's why I think they wouldn't hire him unless he had full GM responsibility. But the difference between Flores and Harbaugh with me, one, as successful I think that Flores was in terms of the win-loss department, because he had that Miami Dolphins team playing a lot better, specifically his first 2 years, than anybody expected. Jim Harbaugh went to 3 NFC title games in 4 years, and he went to a Super Bowl. And Jim Harbaugh is more offensively driven. Look at what Jim Harbaugh did with Alex Smith. He turned Alex Smith into a Pro Bowl quarterback or a borderline Pro Bowl quarterback, had him in the Super Bowl. Before that, he was arguably worse than Daniel Jones. Go back and look at the numbers. He had 54 touchdowns, 56 picks. He wasn't going anywhere fast before Harbaugh got there. So Harbaugh's more offensively driven. That's why I'd be more drawn to him. But I agree. That's the red flag with both of them.
Yep, without a doubt. Jeffrey, thank you, brother. Appreciate it. Seeing Dallas self-destruct last week is fantastic. I said, Chris, that was the best Sunday that Giants fans had all year.
Oh, the Eagles and Cowboys gone. Let's go.
It was a beautiful thing. It was beautiful.
Let's go.
Capital Mob, thank you, brother. New York Giants have studs that are still in rookie contracts. Let's hope so. I like Ojolari. I like Andrew Thomas. Kadarius Toney showing some skill. I don't know what he is.
Got to stay healthy.
See a lot of him. McKinney was pretty good. Sometimes McKinney seems like he gives up on plays, so I don't like that. There's a couple players that are okay.
Robinson could be good.
Yeah.
I like Robinson, but you got to see a lot more, but he could be good.
Kalen, thank you, my man. Appreciate it. When's Shane's presser? Also watch Inside the Draft Room.
Yeah, a couple people have told me about the Inside the Draft Room. I haven't watched it yet. I'm definitely going to. A couple people. Actually, I watched something on him. I'm not sure if it's that video, but a couple people have told me to watch Inside the Draft Room with Joe Shane, and I will if I haven't. But his press conference, I would have to think it'll probably be after the playoffs this weekend. I don't think it'll be Saturday or Sunday. I think it'll be at some point next week.
Yeah. Michael Bowman, thanks so much, man. Really appreciate it. Says, I don't want any veteran quarterback. Get him in the draft, not this year. Offensive line is the number one issue. Let's finally get this rebuild right and start winning games. Go Giants. I'm on board with you, Michael.
I agree.
I agree. I'd rather get a guy in the draft, but not this year. Unless, like I said, we trade way back or we trade back up into the first round. But I don't want one with a top 10 pick.
Yeah, I'm not going to change my stance on that as much as fans may want me to. I'm not going to be on board with taking a quarterback with a top 7 pick.
Yeah, it's tough. But again, if these guys feel like they can develop one of these guys and make them into Josh Allen, I'm not.
I will hope that we're wrong. I will hope that we're wrong and they're right if they do.
Right, like I said, like you said, Chris, I will give my opinion on it. It's not going to be favorable, but I am not going to throw a fit. I'm not making a viral video. Not that I intended to do that with the Daniel Jones, or we made a viral video, I guess. But I didn't want Daniel Jones. I wanted Josh Allen as bad as you did that year. Tyler, thank you, brother. Appreciate it. Neil at 5, Linderbaum at 7. Flores is my top head coach option. Seems like there's a lot of split with Flores. Dable with like you want him, you don't want him, and the same thing with the picks. Some guys are all in with the linemen, the first 2 picks. You like linemen.
Some guys don't want to take a lineman in the first round at all.
Right. Right. We want a quarterback.
Yeah. I'm of the mindset of I'm completely happy with 2 linemen. Completely happy with it. If I was the GM, I'd probably go maybe an edge, definitely a lineman with one of the picks and an edge. And then if I didn't take 2 linemen, I would certainly take one with the second round pick. But I'd be completely open to take a 2. No doubt about it with those first 2 picks.
Yeah, absolutely. Tutto! Grazie. Salute, fellas. I'll drop by pay our proper respects for all the Giants fans around the world to slam the Boyd's losers to the ground.
What's up, Tuto, man? Great to see you, man. Still working on those abs, I see.
Tuto. Almost looking as good as mine, Tuto. Tuto hates the birds more than I do, which, like I said,
that's hard, man. That's hard.
But you don't want to mess with Tuto. Tuto should, I say it all the time, Tuto should be like the linebacker coach for the Giants. Tuto should just play linebacker for the Giants. There's our inside linebacker. John Tochi, thank you, brother. He says, we've seen Flores coach. He did okay. Bring in Dable.
I just hope they get it right. People ask me, well, should they go with a retread? Should they go with the new guy? There's no perfect science to it. Sometimes the brand new guy works, and sometimes the retread works. There's no perfect science to it. I'm trying to think off the top of my head of a retread that really worked, and I'm sure there's one. I'm trying to think in with the current teams. McCarthy, I'm not going to say worked yet.
Oh, Andy Reid.
Oh, Andy Reid, yeah. Andy Reid should have never been fired in the first place.
No, I know, but
He's a perfect example. But obviously there's a lot more instances of the new guys really working.
Bruce
Arians has certainly worked. Good call there. Yeah, it definitely works. There's no perfect science. Sometimes the new guy is going to be the right pick. Sometimes the retread is going to be the right pick. You just got to make sure you get the right guy for your situation.
Correct.
Yeah,
absolutely. Asia, my lady, thank you so much for the super chat. She says, "Hey, Baddog and Loon, and stand up, my sexy Tainah. Let's hope this GM is good at drafting players and hiring some people to develop players. By the way, R.I.P. Marvin Leaday, a.k.a. Meatloaf, and Louis Anderson."
Yeah, I saw that today. I didn't even that Meatloaf passed away. That sucks, man. I saw that today, and I didn't know about Louis Anderson.
Happened early, yeah. So there's probably one more. They usually go in three.
It always goes in three. It always seems to go in threes when somebody.
We lost John Madden, we lost Betty White, and there was somebody else in there with them.
It always seems to happen that way. I remember when Robin Williams passed away, there was two others too. I can't remember, but hopefully not. But
speaking of people that hate our division rivals, nobody hates the Eagles more than Tuto. Nobody hates the Cowboys more than Dallas Cowboys Hater Nation, whose entire page is dedicated to hating Dallas. His YouTube channel, his Instagram, I think he has a Facebook too, all dedicated to hating Dallas. He says, "Hey guys, how you enjoy seeing the Cowboys lose? Hope you see our Cowboy fan reactions video after the game." There you go. Hates.
Yeah, I was thrilled. I was at a bar with my friend who's a big 49er fan. So obviously, naturally, we're both rooting heavily for the Niners. I was thrilled, man. I was thrilled to see the Cowboys go down. I thought they were going to lose going into the game. I bet on the Niners. So I thought they were going to lose. I was not surprised. And I remember, I forgot who it was, somebody in my chat who's a Cowboys fan, Cowboys Nation, I think. When I found out that the Cowboys were playing the Niners, I think he was celebrating in the chat because the Cowboys, I think, got a better seed because the team lost. And then I said to him, I'm like, I don't think you should be celebrating because I think you match up much better with the Cardinals. Like, I think if the Cowboys played the Cardinals and they were the 4, they would have swept the floor with them. I think the Cowboys would have beat the Cardinals by 14 plus. The Cardinals were limping down the stretch. They went up against, if you ask me right now, Baddog, and I think I would have said this going into that game, who is the second best team in the NFC? I think I would have said the Niners because they are so hot going into the playoffs. They're such a complete team. Obviously, the thing that could hold them back is Garoppolo, but I wasn't surprised at all that the Niners beat them. I think the Niners were the better team, and I was thrilled. I was pumped up, man. I was happy.
Yeah, I love Dak running the quarterback draw with no timeouts and then not giving the ball to the official, which is stupid. You have to give the ball to the official so he can spot it. You can't just throw the ball down. That's not how it works. The official has to touch the ball and spot the ball officially.
What was I understand the logic behind it, right? Because they're covering the sidelines. You want to try to get closer to the end zone to throw the touchdown. But if you're in that spot, Dak has to know that he can't go all the way down to the 20-yard line. Like, he has to know there's only so much time. Like, I have to slide by the time I get to, like, the 27, 28 to be able to make sure I have enough time to spike the ball. So a lot of people put that on McCarthy. I didn't necessarily hate the play call. I put it more on Dak for not having the mental clock in his head to say, I got to get down, to make sure I have enough time to be able to spike this ball. I didn't necessarily hate the play call. I probably, if I was a Cowboys fan, would have liked 2 shots at the end zone. But I think the fact that Dak ran as far as he did and tried to get as many yards as he could and wasn't thinking about the clock, to me, that was the biggest mistake on that play.
I loved it, personally. I loved it.
Oh, it was great. What a great way to end the season.
It was pretty awesome. Active Chemical, thank you, brother. Appreciate it. Considering the strengths of Buffalo under Shane, maybe we go strong on corner, especially if we cut Bradbury. The only really good corner is Stingley, right? That's a guy that could be top 10.
Yeah, Stingley, most people have him going top 5.
Yeah.
And it's possible. I said that earlier with Tre'Davious White. They took I think he was like 20-something overall. But, yeah, obviously they prioritize cornerbacks. That's what they built that defense around. So I wouldn't be shocked if they took him if he fell to us. I wouldn't be surprised at all.
I don't think anything is going to surprise me. Unless, like you said, it's a running back.
Yeah, running back, wide receiver.
Yeah. Running back, wide receiver, you're getting a Daniel Jones reaction.
Yeah, I would react for sure if they did that. Yes.
Evan Ingram, thank you for your service on the New York Giants. Your service is no longer needed here. He says, Jones, look at the tape. Make him head of security in a mall, maybe.
Ingram, you're gonna have to retire that YouTube account shortly.
Yeah, or just change the thumbnail.
Well, I guess you could keep it. He's just gonna have Ingram in a different uniform.
Right, he can be in a different uniform. Come back and visit anytime.
Yeah.
Michael, thank you, brother. Appreciate it. He says if he's there and he's good, yeah, you need him, then you take him. It's that simple. Draft placement doesn't matter. I agree with that. I'm not huge in the whole positional value thing. I think if you need a spot or you have a guy there that can fill that spot and be really good at it, take him. Unless it's something like a running back we don't need. That's different. But lineman, linebacker, cornerback, whatever. Yeah, if they cut Bradbury and Stingley falls to them at 5 or 7 and they wanted to do that,
I'll tell you right now, if we cut Bradbury,
it could happen.
I think we're going to take Stingley if he's there.
Yeah.
I think we are. I think we will take him with one of those picks if we cut Bradbury. I would almost expect it if we cut Bradbury.
And I think we will cut Bradbury. It saves, $9 million?
Yeah, I don't know if Stingley will be there. He could go to the Jets. The Jets definitely need a lot of help in that secondary. But if he's there, I would probably have him going to us if he was there.
This is why I can't wait for the draft. This is why I can't wait for the draft. There's just so many possibilities. Irish Rover, thank you, man. Really appreciate it. He says, I think we have a new Mason GM to build the blue brick wall. Good Masons know it's a process that takes time to create a solid wall. The O-line must be addressed. In Shane, we trust. Yeah. You build a house from the ground up. The foundation is the most important part of the house. You don't see the foundation. Nobody looks at the foundation. You only look at what's above the ground. But it doesn't matter how pretty it is above the ground. If the foundation's weak, the house is weak. That's the Giants. Nobody looks at the offensive line. Nobody cares about those guys. The only time they're ever really mentioned is when they're making a mistake. They're not sexy picks. Nobody sits there and celebrates.
They're boring picks. They're waiting to see.
Dallas Cowboy fans were pissed for years because they kept taking linemen. And look at what it ended up being for them. Luckily, they haven't won any playoff games, really. But they got a lot better than they were. And we need to build from the inside out. It's how you build a team. We've neglected the offensive line way too long. It needs to be addressed one way or the other.
Yeah. And even when we didn't neglect it, we didn't fix it.
No.
So, we did take first-round offensive linemen in the past with Reese, but we didn't fix it.
Oh, they were terrible.
Yeah.
Then again, they drafted Eric Flowers out of position. Yep. I mean, that's just what the Giants did. Their talent evaluator said, he could play left tackle, but he couldn't. He was a right tackle in Miami. It didn't make any sense. Giants were the only team that projected him as a left tackle. That was a panic pick. The Redskins took Sheriff, and then the Giants said, what are we doing to Eric Flowers? Josh, they should have taken Andrews Pete. That was the guy that I wanted anyway. Josh, thank you, brother. Appreciate it. He says, in my opinion, there's no can't-miss prospects in this class. It's deep, but not many superstars. Ideal situation, Aquanu at 5 and trade back with 7 to get as much capital as possible for next year's rookie quarterback.
I agree. That's perfect. That is the perfect scenario, is get your tackle, whoever the Giants identify as the best tackle, with one of those picks and trade back and get a future pick for 2023. I don't know if it'll happen. I don't know if the team's going to be willing to trade up, but I agree. That's the best scenario.
Yeah, I agree too.
Yeah.
Reality, thank you, brother. Appreciate it. DJ has 1,000 rush yards and 16 receiving yards. Watch tape. His 16 receiving yards, the best 16-yard catch you're ever going to see.
He made the best catch, the best run, and the best throw by any Giants player this year.
Yeah, by far.
That's a fact.
Kadarius Stoney threw a couple better passes than Glennon did too. Odell Beckham could still throw that pass.
Odell Beckham made a nice throw.
Hey, man, he threw a couple of those Saquon.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
He did. He run the city. Thank you so much, man. I really appreciate it. Even though I do not want him with the 5th or 7th picks, I hope we can get Nakobe Dean somehow. We love our dogs. Yes, we do. We do.
I'd love to take a linebacker. Maybe we trade back up into the 1st if he falls deep enough. Who knows?
I don't think Nakobe Dean will go that far back.
Probably not, but who knows? That's what's great about the draft.
You never know. He could have a bad combine. Something stupid could pop up. It happens every year. Some guy blows up the chart. A stock explodes because he has a great combine. Some guys falls because of something that comes out on Twitter or some report that he did this or that he did that, or he has a bad combine and all of a sudden his value drops.
I say it all the time. You look at AJ Epinesa, the guy the Bills took. I remember before the combine looking at mocks and seeing Epinesa was going like top 5, top 6. He ran like a 5.2 40. and all of a sudden Evanescence went like 38 or whatever to the Bills. So you don't know. You don't know how this is going to work out. The combine will tell us a lot, and the Senior Bowl. There's so many steps to the process. So
thank God Gettleman's not there. I don't even think we should go to the Senior Bowl. I don't think we should go there. Aaron, thank you, brother. Appreciate it. Eric Bienemy should be a top head coach option.
He'll probably get an interview. He got an interview last time around, so he'll probably get an interview. I would be surprised. Well, he hasn't gotten an interview, though, if I'm not mistaken, by anybody else. I haven't kept up with it, with the Vikings and everybody else that's looking for a head coach, but good chance he'll get an interview. I wouldn't be surprised if he got an interview. Ronnie,
thank you so much for the super chat. I really appreciate it. After the Knicks game last night, we need to keep hope alive and let this guy get the cap under some type of control. Love you guys. Thank you, Ronnie. Appreciate that very much. And yeah, the Knicks with a humiliating performance against a less than stellar New Orleans.
They are so bad. I almost called that game, and I just wasn't feeling up to it, and I was so happy. I was like watching them, like, thank God I didn't call this game. They were down by like 20-something points before the half, if I'm not mistaken. Like, it was bad.
Yeah, they were down huge going into the fourth quarter,
and then they cleaned it up at the end. They went on quickly at a couple of meaningless threes, and they're bad right now.
As Marv Albert used to say, extensive garbage time.
Yeah, exactly.
Dealer, thanks so much. I really appreciate it. Giants should have picked Peters, drafted 2 linemen, and set this team up to run the ball like the Niners.
I would have loved Peter. I mean, listen, I'm happy with Shane Dilly. I'm definitely going to be – I'm excited. It's a change. It's something fresh. Peters was my number one choice, but he wasn't like – it got to the point where I was like, okay, no matter who they pick, I'm going to be happy. It's something new. It's different. It's a change. It's an outsider. It's a guy that's coming in with good credentials. So whether it was Shane or whether it was Peters, I was going to be happy. I didn't think Poles was going to get the job. I thought it was between those two, and I thought Shane was the strong favorite. But I'm with you. I thought Peters was the best candidate. That was the guy that I wanted the most. But regardless, I'm happy with what they did. The Niners, when you look at it, man, I mean, look what they were able to do, the way they built that team. You watch that team, like he said, the line's good. They could run the ball. They have a ferocious defense. He got great value throughout his drafts. And he helped build that great defense with the Denver Broncos as well that went on to win a Super Bowl. So I was a big fan of Peters, but, I'm a big fan of Shane as well.
Yeah. You know what? We'll see. He has to make the right picks. Well, we'll see what he does.
Yeah.
He did he. Thank you for the super chat, brother. Appreciate it. How Gettleman got picks for the future shows how much he was Giants first. He just failed on his vision that he thought he would help. Vision's old. He didn't fix it. My biggest problem with Gettleman, E. Diddy, was he didn't address the offensive line. This is what he said he was going to do. And he didn't. He went out and got a running back and a quarterback before he got the line. He did it backwards. Should have went line and then drafted his quarterback and then his running back.
Yeah. I mean, listen, Gettleman lost me. I mean, I would, like I would say, once they fired Sherman, I would have fired Gettleman as well after 2019. But I wasn't going to cry about it if they brought him back because I think we both thought Mara was just as responsible for 2018, for a fresh start in 2019. Right. And they probably didn't want to bring in a GM because they thought that the guy may move off Daniel Jones after 1 year. So I understood it. He came back for 2020, whatever. And 2020, I think most people agreed was a pretty successful offseason. Like the majority of the things they did, worked out that year. And then 2021 was just a disaster. And we kind of knew it was at least trending that it could be a disaster based off not addressing the line at all. Now, I'm not saying not in the first, they didn't have to do in the first round, but completely ignoring it throughout the entire draft. Like we knew we could be in for a long season.
Yeah, without a doubt. Tutto, grazie. The best way to rebuild the Giants is to keep more Mara family away from all decisions making and allow everyone to do their jobs, right? Forget about it. Right.
Forget about it.
He's right. Mara needs to forget about player personnel and all this crap and just sign the checks.
I think he is, which is good.
Let's hope he is. That obviously it's a step in the right direction. Like I said, I was encouraged by his press conference that he was very humble. He did not duck any questions. He came out and said, this is terrible and it needs to get better. And the fans shouldn't trust him. Yeah. What makes you think the fans shouldn't trust me? He said, I've given them no reason to trust me. That's as honest as it could get. Yeah. So, good. the first part of fixing your problem is admitting you have a problem. So if you have a gambling problem and you're not willing to admit it, you'll never fix it. But if you do say I got a problem, you can change it. So hopefully Mara admitted it, and now let's change it for the better. Mike, thank you, brother. Appreciate it. We need plug and play offensive linemen. Our guys are third string. Agreed.
I agree.
I don't know if our guys are third string.
They pretty much are outside of Thomas. I mean,
no, I don't even know if they're good enough to be third string.
Oh, you don't even know that? They might not be.
Parrott's not.
Parrott sucks. If Parrott can beat out Nate Solder, he's not even third string.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And they went into the year thinking, oh, we're going to build off Parrott, Lemieux, and Thomas. Pencilman, thank you, brother. He says JJ can get a gig ordering beer and pizza. At least he got that right. Yeah, Joe Judge ain't going to be running any laps. Well, now we know how Joe Judge got in the shape he's in. I'm feeling he yelled at a lot of that throughout his tenure with the New York Giants. You know, Scott, thank you, brother. Appreciate it. Troy Aikman was upset he didn't announce the game. He took a shot at the network for that.
The game, the Cowboys game?
Yeah, because he didn't get to.
They had Romo, right?
Yeah. No, that was Collinsworth. Wasn't that Collinsworth? And
I thought Romo announced the Cowboys game. Maybe I'm wrong. I know he announced one of the games.
Did Romo do the Cowboys game? Why did I think that was on? Aren't they 6? I thought the game was on 13.
Maybe I'm wrong. I know Romo.
I'm wrong. I don't remember who the hell called. I was too busy with Dallas
last week. I don't remember if it was the Cowboys game or the Eagles game. I thought it was the Cowboys game, but maybe I'm wrong.
Aikman called the Eagles game.
Oh, yeah, it was. Yeah, Jeremy said it was Romo. Yeah, I thought it was Romo. Yeah. So maybe that's why.
Oh, maybe.
They chose the other Cowboys quarterback.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's not Romo's fault. And CBS ended up with the game.
Yeah.
But he was mad. Troy was mad. I think I mentioned on Twitter, I said, I think he just took a shot at the network. Frank Corona, thank you, brother. Appreciate it. Where would you target a receiver in next year's draft? With Galladay and Tony's injury history, I don't want an excuse for Jones next year to be no weapons. I don't know. They may have to get one off the scrap heap. I don't know where you're going to draft one. They also need a tight end.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it all depends on their draft board. They could draft a wide receiver in the second round. I'm not going to flip. It depends on their draft board and where they value these guys. But I'm not in the first round. Not 5th or 7th overall. Yeah. That's what I'll say. And I'd prefer it being 3rd round or later. But you don't always get your way as a fan. But they could take one in the second round.
True.
I'd be shocked if they took one in the first.
Yeah. John, thank you, brother. Appreciate it. Maybe if Chris Olave is there, if he falls into the second round, he's really good. I don't mind trading back our 5th pick for a later pick and draft Linderbaum at 7. I like the right tackle, Trevor Penning out of Northern Iowa. He's really good as well. And regarding a head coach, I want no part of Flores. Want off a head coach. Well, offensive
head coach. Yeah, I mean,
if we could trade back, John, that'd be amazing.
I'd love to. That to me is going to be my ideal circumstance when I do my mock drafts this year. Is trading back. I think 12 is like the ideal spot when I looked at it because I think. Let me look at it again.
You can get a future first for a 12.
Yeah, because I'm looking at teams that may need a quarterback, and I think Minnesota potentially could, right? Because Cousins, he may not be the long-term. He's not the long-term answer there, and they're going to have a new coach. So maybe 12, maybe 9 with Denver, 8 with Atlanta. But we're not going to know until we see
this is over too.
Yeah, what these other teams do, like where does Russell Wilson end up? Where does Deshaun Watson end up? Where do all these quarterbacks end up? So that we'll get a better idea of who potentially we could trade down with.
Gregory, thank you for the super chat, man. Appreciate it. Shane makes me optimistic for the future, but I can't wait for baseball season. Hopefully, the lockout ends soon. It's supposed to. I think that they're starting to negotiate. Says
that'll be good. That'll be good.
Yankees need a second pitcher behind Cole, like the Mets have DeGrom and Scherzer, Correa, or Chapman. You mean Carlos Correa? I'd rather have Carlos Correa than Matt Chapman, if I'm being honest with you. And yes, we need all kinds of freaking pitching. There's no doubt about that. Gregor, I'm looking forward to baseball season too. I look forward to doing. I'm going to be doing a lot more Yankee stuff as far as videos and stuff. I'm not going to do a video like after every game, but I'll definitely do more. Like I said, I plan on doing like a Yankee show Friday or Saturday night, just kind of discussing the week. And again, it'll only be an hour. I was doing it on Saturday mornings. It's just a tough time for me. I don't know why I ever scheduled that, but I do want to do more Yankee stuff. And yes, the Yankees need to make a big splash of agency and stop pinching pennies. They're freaking Yankees. Spend money like the Mets are.
A lot of Yankee fans might be upset that the Met. I'm a Met fan, so I'm ecstatic. With the Mets now that they've been more aggressive and they're starting to push the issue and trying to become a competitive baseball team year in and year out. But if I was a Yankees fan, I would actually be happy that the Mets are doing that because I think it adds pressure to the Yankees now to spend. Like if the Mets start capturing the back page and the Mets, say the Mets have a really good year this year, say they get Scherzer and, we had another big player and we have a 100-win season, let's just say, and the Mets are this aggressive team, the back pages are going to start to say, you're going to let the Mets push you around, and maybe that will incentivize the Yankees to start spending the way that they used to.
I got no problem with the Mets spending money. Good for them. I got no problem with that whatsoever.
I've been dying for the Mets to spend. Yeah. They're a New York. I mean, ever since the Bernie Madoff thing, they haven't been able to do it. But once they brought this guy in, man, I was super excited because I knew this was the Mets.
For the Mets. Pete the Seat, thank you, brother. Appreciate it. He says, in my opinion, the cons outweigh the pros on Flores. For me, having a falling out with upper management, a different offensive coordinator each year doesn't look good. In
my opinion, the cons outweigh the pros. Listen, man, I definitely think there's cons there. I definitely agree that there's cons there with Flores. It's not like it's not picture.
It's not a slam dunk.
Yeah, it's not picture.
Like I said, it seems like the fan base is kind of split. It seems like the fan base is split on a lot of stuff because we have so many issues and there's so many problems and there's just so many ways you can go. So you're going to have different opinions on everything. It's not like we just have one position where really do it. If our offensive line was watertight, we had two really good receivers and a good tight end and a great running game, and our defense was pretty solid and the quarterback sucked, we could sit there and go, we all agree we need a new quarterback. But the problem is quarterback, the offensive line, the running back situation, the wide receivers, the tight end, the linebackers. There's the pass rush. There's so many issues with this team. So there's so many different directions you can go, and people all have a different opinion on how they want to do it. And that's the problem with being a bad team.
Yeah.
Calvin Mom, thank you, brother. He says, I heard little about Jabril Peppers. I guess he's out.
He's gone. He's gone. There's no way. He's gone.
He gone. Mike Thomas, thank you for the $2. Boom! I love the thumbnail, by the way, of Joe Pesci from Goodfellas there.
Are you a clown? Do I look like a clown? Do I?
Judge did. Joe Judge did. You want to laugh? Last week, this prick, he asked me to christen his kid. Yeah, for $7,000, I charged him. My favorite. After he breaks the wine bottle over his head, you want to laugh? Yeah, last week, this prick, he asked me to christen his kid. $7,000, I charged. Mr. Vaness, thank you, brother. Appreciate it. I'm glad upper management got put on blast this offseason. Otherwise, it'll probably be status quo. This is the beginning of a new way of operating. Let's hope so, man.
It is. I think it is. We'll see if it works, but
I
think it is a new way of operating.
Mike Thomas, thank you for super chat. Was that the same guy, or is that just the same?
I think it is the same guy. It is the same guy.
What about trying to bring in one of the retired guys back, like Cower?
Brian Billick.
Brian Billick. He's been out of the game so long. I don't know if they'd have.
Yeah, I remember like every time, like I remember like whenever Coughlin was going to be like, there was rumor that he could be fired before he was.
Oh, it was always the guy.
Everybody would always bring up Cower. They'd be like, Cower, he would take the Giants job. And I think like his daughters went to school in New York at the time. And people used to say, oh, Cower's the hot shot guy that they bring in. But at this point, Bill Cower, he's making so much money working for CBS. He's been doing it forever.
Yeah.
And he's been out of the game for so long. Like, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Yeah. I don't think he would leave the job at CBS.
He probably makes as much there as he would being a head coach. And maybe not as much, but he makes a good amount. And he doesn't have to put in the long hours. Like, it's not like, coaches, they work like 18 hours a day during the season.
Yeah. Depressed Giants fan, thank you for super chat. Hopefully by the end of the year, you're saying optimistic Giants fan for that name. He says, I'm so happy Mara went with an outsider. I think we all are.
Yeah, for sure, man.
I think we're all happy with that. G-Ton, thank you, brother. Really appreciate it. Says next 2 years, first and second round picks, 2 third-rounders this year for Daniel for Watson. Would you do it? Next 2 years, first and second, 2 third-rounders and Daniel Jones for Watson, I probably would.
So you're basically saying trade the entire draft for the next 2 years. You trade the next 2 first-round picks, the next 2 second-round picks, and the next 2 third-round picks.
No, the 2 third-rounders this year.
Oh, he's saying trade both of our first this year.
No. I think he's saying 2023 and 2024 first-round picks and second-round picks, and the 2023 first-round pick, 2024 first-round pick, 2023 and 2024 second-round pick, and the 2 third-rounders this year.
A lot of math.
Yeah, it was a lot of math.
I don't know, man. I don't know, man. I don't think we're getting Watson. I really don't. If they get Watson, we'll analyze the trade. We'll talk about it. It's going to cost a ton if they're to bring a guy like Deshaun Watson at his age and everything else. But we'll see. I mean, if they get Watson, I think most Giant fans will be excited. Now, maybe some will downplay it and say it's a horrible move, but I think most Giant fans would be excited if you brought in a quarterback of that caliber. But I'll believe it when I see it. I don't think it's going to happen.
The only thing I can say is you never know what you're getting with your first-round pick. You already know what you have with Deshaun Watson.
It's the most important position. You're getting a guy that you know is going to be a top 5 quarterback, or at least close to a top 5 quarterback, and a guy that is going to play at a high level for the next 10 years if he can stay on the football field. So it's valuable. It's valuable.
Tony Parolo, thank you for the spider. Boom! You think that's an Italian guy? Right?
Maybe Irish.
Irish.
He might be Irish. Czechoslovakian.
Paisano. Fina Paisano. Tutto grazie. He says, since our team had hired former U.S. Navy drill instructors 3 years ago, we hardly ran any IRs and beating the hell out of our opponents. We had hardly any IRs and beating the hell out of our opponents. Maybe the Giants need to bring in a drill instructor.
We kind of had that with Coughlin.
We did. Kind of worked. He had to dial it back a bit, quickly. Well, that's what I said about Joe Judge. I mean, obviously, Coleman had a longer leash, but he did make the playoffs, 2 out of his first 3 years before he won the Super Bowl. But, yeah, he did tone it back. And I felt like Joe Judge was incredibly inflexible with everything that he did. And I just don't think that wasn't the way to do it, Tyler, thank you, brother. Appreciate it. Would you guys want to trade for Russell Wilson? And what would it cost? I don't. I love Russell Wilson. He's too old for this team. The Giants are not ready to win now. I think Russell Wilson should be going to a team that is ready to win now. If we were 10-7, or we were 9-8, if we were 7-10, or 8-9, then I would have considered it. But the fact that we're so far away from it, I can't trade something for Russell Wilson. I can't give up picks for him because he doesn't have an elongated future like a Deshaun Watson.
I think that the potential for success if you're bringing Russell Wilson, it could happen. It's possible. If you brought him in, it's not very high. And when I say success, I mean win a Super Bowl, because if you're making a move like that, that's the only point in doing it.
Right.
You're going to give away all that draft capital. It's because you think this guy could get you to a Super Bowl. And I mean, we don't have that good of a team to begin with. Now you're talking about influencing your cap space. You're talking about trading away all these draft picks to acquire him. And you're talking about bringing in a guy that's approaching 35 years old. I mean, and a guy that does not look like he's quite as good as he was, 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah, he's on the decline.
It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. If you could get him for 1 first-round pick, sure. But for what I think it would cost, no.
Deal up, thank you for the super chat. He says, you know why we won't get Watson? Josh Brown. Yeah, I met Josh Brown. Josh Brown.
I mean, that was a disgrace that the Giants didn't cut that guy right away.
It was a disgrace that I met him at a church function and that he said he was a changed man and all this other stuff, and talked about how he beat his wife or threatened his wife, and talked about having a God complex and all this other stuff, being a football player, and how he changed because he found Jesus. And then he didn't change at all. Never get that. I'll never get that as long as I live. I'm like, this guy seems really cool. First words out of his mouth when he spoke was, I stand before you a broken man. And he talked about all this stuff and how he changed, all this other crap. Then a year later, he did this. And I'm like, what a scumbag.
Yeah.
Just absolutely terrible.
I never understood how the Giants kept him as long as they did. It never made any sense to me. It was like, he's the kicker. Get him off the team. Like, I never understood it.
I never got it either. Do you think that Zach Wilson's any good?
I think he could be, yeah. I like Zach Wilson coming out of the draft last year. I don't watch. I mean, I watch a handful of Jet games, but usually I'm streaming the Giants games, so I don't get to watch them regularly like I used to. But I like Zach Wilson. The one thing that stood out to me about Zach Wilson in college, at least, and I don't watch him with the Jets, and it seemed like he got better throughout the year. He started off really bad. Was his strength to me seemed like Jones's weakness. Like I thought that Wilson scanned the field very well when I would watch his film breakdowns at the collegiate level. So I like Zach Wilson. I like Zach Wilson, the prospect. I think he could be good.
Mark Stewart, thank you. We remember for 6 months, man. He said, I can't bring that up because it's not on streamer. He said, in your gut feeling, who's our next head coach? I think it's Table.
Yeah, I think it's Table.
Honestly, I think it's him. I don't know if I missed any more of those. It's tough on StreamYard because I don't see those member chats, unfortunately, which sucks. Josh Brown was a really good kicker. Oh, his mom is hot, Zach Wilson.
She is.
She was definitely the talk of the town.
During the draft. She was. She got a lot of attention for that. I remember that.
I think you and I gave her some attention too.
We did.
I love when the younger guys in the chat are like, "Oh, she's a cougar. She's a cougar." I'm like, "She's my age." Look at me. She's probably younger than me. You know, hey, look at.
She is hot. She's hot.
Hey, she is. I mean, man is a man. She was good looking. She was good looking. Oops, where'd that go? Dashy says now the Giants need to hire a head coach who will work with their GM. That's why I think Dable will be the guy, Dashy. Dash got a big game. The Bengals are playing the Titans.
Yeah, I think. Let me see who the candidates are. But yeah, right now, not that I'd be surprised if he doesn't get the job, but I think he's the favorite. I think he will get the job.
Joe Shane, there you go. Joe Shane's in the chat.
What's up,
he
Joe?
says Dable or Quinn, so y'all stop thinking Flores.
Quinn?
I don't want Quinn. I'd rather have Flores, if I'm being honest with you.
Yeah. Giant fans wouldn't be happy if we hired Quinn.
Do we really want another? Not that it matters that they come in for the Cowboys, but do we really want another Cowboys coordinator here? Did we just kill Jason Garrett for no reason?
That would definitely be the thought process by the majority of Giant fans. So I don't want to have to deal with that as a content creator. So don't hire Dan Quinn.
Deep Dish Chris, thank you for the super chat. Any preferences on offense coordinator? It'll be interesting to see where they go with that.
I think it'll be Dable, essentially, if he's the head coach. So if they go with Dable, I think he'll be the OC. But I haven't dove into it, really. I haven't really dove into it. I think it's going to be Dable, and if Dable's the coach, I think he'll be the offensive coordinator.
Seth Spielman says, what is it like being a Giants fan coming from a Chargers fan? Well, for most of my life, it was amazing. The last 5 years has been extremely difficult. Let's say that. But
yeah, I mean, being a Giants fan I really, started to heavily get into the Giants probably around 98. So, that's when I fell in love with Tiki. I think they drafted him in 97. And he was my favorite player. I named my dog after him when I first took over. And really from that point until the second half of Eli Manning's career, we were always at least relevant. Once we got Collins, we went to the Super Bowl in 2000. We went to the playoffs again, I think, in 2002 when we lost to the Niners. Then we got Eli. We were excited about that. We made the playoffs the second year on, basically every year, or at least in the playoff hunt from 2005 until 2012. And then, since then, it's been a disaster. But for the first 15 years of being a Giants fan, you always knew that they were at least going to be at least somewhat competitive and competent. So it was nice. I missed those.
For me, it was the first 28 years because I started watching them in 1984, and that was the first year that they were good in 20 years. I missed they did make the playoffs in 81, but from 1964 to 1983, they were god-awful. They were terrible. I missed all that, but 84 won a playoff game. 85 won a playoff game. 86 won a Super Bowl. 87 don't count. It was a disaster because it was a strike, and the Giants lost all 3 games of the replacement players, which actually counted against them. Not that they were great that year, but still, they should have been in the playoffs in 88, lost the last game of the season to the freaking Jets on the last-second touchdown, Al Toon. We finished 10-6, missed the playoffs because we couldn't beat the lowly Jets. 89, 12-4, Flipper Anderson killed me. 1990, of course, my favorite Giants team of all time, beating the Niners and ending a three-peat and wide right in the Super Bowl. 91, they were terrible. They were 8-8. 6-10 in 92, playoffs in 93, 9-7 in 94, bad in 95, 96, playoffs in 97. So
I remember that team. I remember the 97 team.
Cannell.
Yeah, that's when that year, I guess, is when right around then is when I started. Like when I was younger, I was just kind of like an NFL fan as like a kid. Like I'd watch at the time, the Niners and the Cowboys were the good teams. And maybe that's how I developed my obsession with getting the offensive line situated because they had the greatest offensive line I've ever seen. And that's how I saw that you won football games. But yeah, right around like 96, 97 is when I became like ingrained to be a New York Giant fan.
Yeah. I mean, 97, it's when I bought my Sea Orange jersey. That's why I always joke around that my Sea Orange jersey is older than a lot of people in my chat because I've had that thing since 1997. He was definitely my favorite player. And the Giants started coming, well, they trained up in Albany starting in 1996. So obviously I got to see a lot of them for the 16 years they're up here. And I've said this before, and I'll say it again to anybody up here in the 518 area code. We all know the reason for the Giants' struggles. Ever since they left Albany, they've sucked. Ever since they left Albany, their last season here was 2012. They were 9-7. They had one winning season since they left Albany for training camp. They go down there to that cushy freaking Metroplex garbage crap, and they get soft. They don't deal with the fans. Sucks. Up here, outside, terrible field, old ratty college, state college. Interact with the fans. Great. Great.
You solved it.
Even when they had that thing built, Coughlin still brought them up here for a couple of weeks just to get them the hell out of the city. Now that's obvious.
Man. You solved it.
I did. Bring them back here.
We got to go back.
Bring them back up here. Go build the dome. Well, that was the reason they left Albany, was because they stopped doing 2-a-days. So if it rained, they lost the practice.
Right.
That was really the reason. They had nothing to cover.
Fail safe. Yeah.
And that was really the major reason that they left.
But why couldn't they just build a tent there? Why couldn't they just build a tent there?
A tent to go over the field?
No, like how they have it at the Giants. Like they have the field and then they have a separate tent area if it rains.
Well, they only had one field here.
So they didn't have like an expanded area where they could have.
Oh God, no! It's SUNY Albany.
I never went to the old
Division III school. Well, actually, no, they're a Division I school. Take that back, but they're terrible. But yeah, they had one. Maybe they did have two fields. I think they built a new field for them, but they just I don't know why they didn't do that, but that was why they left here.
I see somebody asked me. Dan asked me, "Did you start the new season of Ozark?" I did. I'm 2 episodes in, so don't ruin anything for me. But started watching that show about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I binge watched it to catch up with you guys because everybody told me how good it was. You should watch that show. I know you took forever to watch Breaking Bad. That show is basically Breaking Bad light. Like that's what Ozark is. Like that's what it reminds me of. You should definitely watch that show. You'd like it. But yeah, I'm through 2 episodes. It's only 7 episodes this season, but they have like the 4th season is going to be the final season, but they're breaking it up into 2 separate seasons. So it's going to be 7 episodes, and then they're going to release the second 7 later in the year. So I'm looking forward to seeing how it ends, but it's a fantastic show.
Mike Thomas says he went to Albany every year. I did. I went out. I don't live too far from Albany, so like I said, it was like a half an hour drive for me. I'd take all my vacation in the summer and go down there every day. I loved it. Sox Arizona, they remember for a year. He says, 1 year member, let's go. Tainah Fantasy Baseball.
Okay. Oh, yes. I'll do it tomorrow. I always forget. I'll do it tomorrow. Message me on Twitter. Remind me. I will do it.
Big Kane, thank you for the super chat. Appreciate it. He says, not a Jets fan. Giants all the way. Type too fast.
Not a Jets fan. Giants all the way. Type too fast. I'm trying to get what he means by that.
I don't know. Unless he said, I'm going back here just to see if he said something about the Jets.
Oh, maybe he said he was a Jet fan by mistake earlier. Okay.
Maybe it was about Zach Wilson.
I forgive you, Big Kane.
Maybe that's it. Maybe it was the question about Zach Wilson. Maybe he meant to say I'm not a Jets fan, but what do you think about Zach Wilson?
Oh, okay.
Mr. Finesse, thank you, brother. Appreciate it. Tigers kick ass, by the way. He says my favorite Giants play was marking him on third down in the bowl. We shouldn't complain there. Only 4 or 5 teams with more chips in the last 30 years.
There's only 4 or 5 teams with more chips, period.
Yeah.
I mean, who has more championships than the Giants?
Patriots, the Cowboys, Steelers, Niners.
That's it, right?
Us and the Packers
have 4. They're tied with us. They may get a 5th this year. But yeah, that's it. I think there's only 4 teams with more championships than us.
Well, listen, guys, going to wrap it up. It's 12:30. I got to get some sleep. I have a date. My father-in-law's turning 60, so I got virtual golf tomorrow. That should be fun.
Virtual golf? How does that work?
You just blast the ball into a green screen and see where it goes. You pick the ball up. It doesn't go anywhere. It goes right into a screen. There's a bar right behind it, so you just walk over there, get a beer.
You play 18 holes on doing that?
Yeah, you can do that.
That's different. Where's that?
You can't play here when it's 8 degrees or 4, whatever the hell it is.
They have
a bunch of them. There's one in Latham. There's one in one up north of me in Johnstown. They're all over the place.
Huh.
But
I've seen the virtual golf as just a way to try out clubs at pro shops, but I never knew that you could play a full 18 holes.
A bunch of different things with that. Yeah. So got that. I got to leave here at 10:30 in the morning, which means I got to get up at 8 to go to the gym because I'm crazy. But golf is not a sport, agitator. It's an activity. It is. But
I do like playing golf, though.
It's fun. I always use it as an excuse to drink because I can't golf to save my life. Well, listen, guys and girls, you were amazing. We had a big crowd here tonight. Really appreciate all the support. No deal. You can't drive the cart. You can't drive the cart anywhere. There's no room. It's indoors, so you can't drive it. Yeah, obviously things are moving for the Giants. So I'm sure by next week we're going to do this show. And again, if you haven't done so, one last time, hit the like, hit the subscribing, the bell. More importantly, if you haven't subscribed to Chris over at the Entertainer Talkin Sports, make sure you do that. The link to his channel is in the description. Next week will be on his channel. I'm sure we'll be talking about our head coach and maybe we'll know the coordinators or not. But obviously we'll have a lot more to talk about for the next few weeks. So hopefully you guys, if you're new, enjoyed the show. We do it every week. Like I said, we have other channels. And, thank you guys for being awesome. Hopefully this is the first correct move of many that we make this offseason. Let's hope so.
Yeah. Again, like we always say, thank you guys for all the support you guys always show. And it's a new regime for the Giants. We finally found out who our GM is, and the dominoes are starting to fall. Next will be the head coach. Then we'll find out the coordinators, the DC, all the coaches underneath. Hopefully get rid of all the scouts and start from scratch, start from brand new, and start building up this Giants team the right way. Next 2 or 3 weeks is going to be a lot of fun finding out all the bits and pieces to this team, the guys that they're bringing in to start to build this team back to where they need to be, which is atop the NFC East. And hopefully we get there sooner than later. And I'm excited. I'm excited for the change with the organization and hopefully good things to come. But thank you guys for tuning in, and be sure to check us out. There'll definitely be a lot more Giants content up in the near future. Yeah, without a doubt. And I know it's a long ways away, but 3 months is the draft. It's the most fun we have probably during the year. But not until the Giants are good. When the Giants are good, we'll have a lot of fun. When they're bad, it's not as fun, and it's been tough. But hopefully this year, at least we get better, and the draft should be a lot of fun. So we're going to get out of here. Once again, thank you, everybody. Really do appreciate you guys and girls are the best supporters, subscribers on YouTube. You're the best. We're the best fan base there is. That's a fact. So enjoy the rest of your weekend. Enjoy the playoff games if you're going to watch them. The Entertainer Talkin Sports. It's the Bad. They get Dizzle. We out. Peace.